श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेशा गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी श्री राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यस्य कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय, आचार्य वृंद की जय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायण नमस्कृत्यं नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। श्रीमतां स्वकथा कृष्ण पुण्यश्रवण कीर्तनम् हृद्यन्तस्व अभद्राणि विदुनोति सुरसतां नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तम श्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी। सर्वशास्त्रादि पीयूष सर्ववैदिक सत्फल सर्वसिद्धांत रत्नाद्य सर्वलोकैक दृक्प्रद सर्वभागवत प्राण श्रीमद्भागवतो प्रभु कलिदंतो तितादित्य श्री कृष्ण परिवर्तिता परमानंद पाथाय प्रेम वर्ष अक्षराय ते सर्वदा सर्वसेवाय श्री कृष्णाय नमोस्तुते। मद एक बंधु मद संगिन मद गुरुन् मन महादना मन निस्तारक मन भाग्य मद आनंद नमोस्तुते। असाधु साधु दाताइन अति नीच ताकरा हाना मुंचा कदाचिन माम प्रेम रित कंथयो स्पुरः। ग्रंथरा श्रीमद् भागवताम की जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। Okay, Hare Krishna everyone. Thank you all so much for joining this morning. We are in September 15th. This is actually a very special day. It's the appearance of Vamana Day. It's also Dwadashi, and also the appearance day of, as Prabhupada says, one of the greatest philosophers who existed. Is actually Jiva Goswami, one of the 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan. Right? So Srila Jiva Goswami ki jai, Shri Vamana Dwadashi ki jai, Shri Vamana Deva ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Okay. Thank you so much. So let's get started. We are in the very exciting third canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, and we are in chapter number 22. So chapter 21 is conversation between Swayambhu Manu and Kardama, and chapter 22 is the marriage of Kardama Muni and Devahuti. Right? So interesting. In Bhagavatam, which is actually spoken by the most renounced of all personalities, Sukadev Goswami, he is discussing the marriage of 2 personalities, right? Normally we consider that those who are in this renounced order, they don't want to get involved with marriage, grahast ashram. But here Sukadev Goswami is talking about the marriage of Kardamuni and Devahuti, and he's also going to talk about how they enjoyed in their marriage, right? So all that conversation will be there, right? But again, we discussed that why was Vidura actually interested in these topics, and why is actually Sukadev Goswami talking about all these topics? Because all these topics deal directly with Krishna. And from the union of Kardamuni and Devahuti, none other than Krishna, an expansion of Krishna, Srila Kapil Dev is going to take birth. Okay, okay, so we just read the first few verses of chapter number 22nd. So towards the end of chapter number 21, we saw how previously we saw how Swayambhu Manu, how Kardamuni, he performed austerities, and the Supreme Lord Personality of Godhead appeared in front of Karda Muni, and then we read the description of the Lord, how he had appeared there on riding on his Garuda, right? And then Karda Muni actually made the point that he said, like, first he said, just seeing you is the perfection of my eyes. If you take darshan of the Lord, what else is required, right? The perfection of one's eyes is just to have the darshan. He makes that point. And then he says that only those who have lost their lost their intelligence, they actually approach you to fulfill material desires. All right? Because Krishna can give mukti, he can give beyond that, he can give the highest perfection. And someone is asking for material desires, that is like, insignificant, right? So Karda Muni is admitting that he's saying like only foolish people will actually approach you to fulfill material desire. But he says, what is my position? I also have a material desire. Actually, Karda Muni does not have a material desire. He's actually liberated. But in his mood of humility, he's bringing out that I have a material desire, Krishna. I cannot control what to do. But actually, he was just following the instructions of Brahmaji, which was actually given by the instruction of Krishna himself. So Krishna gave the instruction to Brahma, Brahma gave the instruction to Kardamuni, Kardamuni is just following those instructions. But out of his mood of humility, he makes this point. And then we see how the Lord actually, when he speaks to Kardama, he does not, chastise him. He's like, why, you know better than this. Why are you asking material? No, he said like, I have already selected. You want a wife, and based on what is your desire, what kind of wife you want, I have already selected that, right? And then he makes the point that wife will serve you nicely, will fulfill all your desires in that way. And then he also says that 2 days from now, Swayambhuva Manu will personally come to your ashram along with his wife Shatarupa, and they will give their daughter in marriage to you. And she is going to be perfect. And he also says, like the wife, Krishna is like playing the role of a matchmaker here. And he's saying the wife who's going to be, she'll be very beautiful with black eyes. And he actually glorifies the qualities of Devahuti, and he says she'll be perfect for you. And in that way, the Lord actually also says that you'll give birth, your union will give birth to 9 daughters, and there will be one son. And that son is none other than my own expansion. Right? And that is that son who's going to instruct Devahuti in this Tattva Samhita. Tattva Samhita, this Sankhya Yoga, which will be the rest of the third canto of Bhagavatam. Right? And then after the Lord spoke, he leaves, and then Kardamuni waits for the auspicious moment when Swayambhuva Manu is going to come. And 2 days after that, Swayambhuva Manu arrived with Shatarupa, and they come. And then there's a whole description of Bindu Sarovar. And yesterday, and last class, we shared some photos of Bindu Sarovar. So we can visit that. It's in Gujarat right now. You can also visit that place. And why is it called Bindu Sarovar? Because the Lord, when he was so pleased with Kardama, he actually was crying tears. And that tear, out of his affection for Kardama, actually formed that Bindu Sarovar. So then Swayambhuva Manu arrives, Kardamuni receives Swayambhuva Manu, and we see the Vedic culture, very cordial reception, right? So when Swayambhuva Manu arrives, he's actually offering his obeisances to Kardamuni, right? And then Kardamuni, seeing how Swayambhuva Manu has come in that mood, the emperor of the world is coming and offering obeisances, he glorifies Swayambhuva Manu, right? Kardamuni glorifies Swayambhuva Manu. And he actually makes a point that it is rulers like you who are traveling everywhere, and you travel to make sure that the Varnashram system, which is actually established by Krishna, is actually being executed properly, right? And he also says that, how Krishna appearance is Paritranaya Sadhunam Vinashaya Tujushrisam, to actually annihilate the demons and to protect the devotees. And when you travel around, you are actually one way Vishnu, in the sense that you are actually fulfilling that will of Vishnu by protecting the devotees and annihilating demons. And unless you travel around with your chariot and twanging your bow, unless you do that, how will this Varnashram system be established, and how will, personalities like him, the Brahmanas, can continue their Brahmanical duties? And then he makes a point that if you are not here, then irreligion would spread everywhere. But now, after saying all this, and he already knows the reason why Swayambhuva Manu has actually arrived, but still, in the mood of that Vedic etiquette, he actually asks Swayambhuva Manu. He says, please tell me, why you have come here. You're the emperor of the world. Please tell me why you have come here. And then we see how Swayambhu Manu in this chapter, he glorifies Karna Muni, and he actually says that how it is actually the Brahmanas. So yes, the Kshatriyas protect the Brahmanas, but it is also the Brahmanas protect the Kshatriyas. How do the Brahmanas protect the Kshatriyas? By the strength of their austerity. In the sense that the Brahmanas, they actually give instructions to the king, and those instructions of the king protects the king from going beyond the boundaries of dharma and entering into adharma. And when the Brahmanas are instructing the king about dharma, and when the kings are following dharma, what is the principle? If someone follows dharma, then dharma protects that person. Right? Dharma protects the one who follows dharma. Right? So Swayambhu Manu is glorifying Karna Muni and saying it is actually Brahmanas. And because of the Brahmanas that we are actually protected. Right? So we see very nice the relationship between the Brahmanas and the Kshatriyas. How Prabhupada actually makes the point, they are parasparam. Parasparam means mutually they actually support each other. The Brahmanas support the Kshatriya and the Kshatriya support the Brahmana. And then Prabhupada makes the point in purport that if these two higher classes, the Brahmanas and the Kshatriyas, have this mood of cooperation, serving each other, then the rest of the society will fall in place. The Vaishyas, Shudras, they will all fall in place. The entire society will go perfectly according to the system of Varnashram. And then he makes the point, Swayambhu Manu actually glorifies Kardama, and he says the Lord, for the protection of the Brahmanas, the Lord has created us. So we have been created just for the protection of Brahmanas. And the Brahmanas are said to be the heart, and the Kshatriyas are said to be the arms. Right? We discussed this last time. If someone comes with a knife or something to attack our heart, then what happens? Immediately the arms will come and protect. Right? So similarly, in that mood, Swayambhu Manu is actually saying the heart is the Brahmanas and the arms are the Kshatriyas. That as soon as someone tries to attack the Brahmanas or Brahmanical principle, immediately the Kshatriyas will actually stand and say, stop. No, the Brahmanas are the head of the society. They need to be protected. Right? Okay. So we are at that point. So we will continue with text number 5 of chapter 22. Are there any comments or any realizations or any points you would like to add up to this point? Anyone, any points anyone would like to add before we start going through the shlokas? Okay, one other point I'll make and then we'll start with shlokas. I know if anyone got a chance to hear the series by Deva Amrit Swami Maharaj on this exact section of Bhagavatam what you're reading. And he talks about how this entire section is nectar of attachment and detachment. And throughout this entire story, we'll see attachment and detachment. Attachment, it keeps going on. So first, what did we see? We saw Karna Muni's detachment. When he had the instruction to actually create progeny, what did Karna Muni do? Immediately he said, okay, I'm going to perform austerity. And for how many 1,000 years he was performing austerity, completely detached. And then after that austerity, then when Vishnu appeared, then he's expressing his attachment and saying, I am attached to the instructions given by Brahma. Right? And he actually makes the point that yes, I'm not like the four Kumaras who can just join ISKCON Brahmachari Ashram. I need to get married, right? And he actually says, I am just like the normal people. I have to follow the instruction. And he's attached to the instruction, and then we'll see his attachment to Devahuti, which will be next section. And then we'll see, as we are going through, we'll see it's always attachment, detachment, right? And he talks of the nectar of both attachment and detachment. Okay, let's start with text number 6.
Dishtya me Bhagavan drishto durdarsho yo kritatmanam Dishyapada Rajashprishtam Shirshna me Bhavata Shivam.
Krishna translation. It is my good fortune that I have been able to see you, for you cannot easily be seen by persons who have not subdued the mind or controlled the senses. I am all the more fortunate to have touched with my head the blessed dust of your feet, Krishna.
Hmm. One very interesting point actually in text number 5, I want to repeat from last time, is that the king in text number, in the previous verse, he actually makes the point that now I have resolved all my doubts simply by meeting you. And how do we understand this? What doubts were there in the king that were resolved when he actually met Karda Muni? Actually, the very interesting point is that when Karda Muni was actually glorifying Swayambhuva Manu, how did Swayambhuva Manu receive the glorification? He received the glorification as instructions of how he should act in a kingly way as a Kshatriya. So it's a very nice point that when someone is glorifying, saying that, oh, Prabhu, you did so and so, then you can actually say, thank you so much for the instructions, because you are glorifying this quality that is actually telling me that I should always keep this quality in mind and always act in such a way that this quality is actually always maintained. So one way that glorification of Kardamuni to Swayambhava Manu is saying that these are instructions you are giving me, and hence all my doubts are now gone, and I know how to act as a king. So nice. Right? So that was text number 5. And then now in text number 6, we read the translation. Right? Yeah. Okay. Right. So, sorry, I'm going back to text number 5 also. In the previous purport also, Prabhupada actually makes the point that he actually says, this is the power of association. Like Kardamuni, Swayambhava Manu, he's saying just moment I met Kardamuni, and that moment of association with a devotee, all my doubts have been resolved. Right? And Prabhupada in the purport, he talks about uh, he says, like, in our personal experience, we have actual proof of this statement, right? He says this is a result of seeing a great saintly person, right? What? Sadhu Sangha, Sarva Shastra, right? Lava Matra Sadhu Sangha, Sarva Siddhi, right? Even Lava Matra, even a moment. And what is Bhagavatam verse to that? Tulyavam Lavenapi, right? We read this in the first canto, 18th chapter, where even Parikshit Maharaj is saying, even a moment's association, Tulya Vam Lavenapi, right? If you take a Tula, right? And one side you have one moment association, and other side you keep all the perfections of even Swarga Loka, everything else, still there is no balance, because the moments of association cannot be compared to anything else that one can actually appear. So Prabhupada is giving reference to these points, that how just by one moment association with Kardam Muni, how Swayambhu Manu, he's saying that all my doubts have actually been eradicated. And he says, in our personal experience, we have actual proof of this. We had the opportunity to meet Vishnupad, Srimad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj. And in the first meeting, he actually gave us the instruction to preach in the Western world. Right? And Prabhupada says there was no preparation for this, but somehow or other he desired it, and by his grace we are now engaged in executing his order, which has given us a transcendental occupation and has saved and liberated us from the occupation of material activities. So nice, Prabhupada is making the point. You see that in the fifth purport in between. Prabhupada is making such a wonderful point. What is he saying? That first meaning, we got that moment association, right? And that moment of association was Prabhupada prepared at that time? That now there's a whole mission of a worldwide mission is going to be given on to him. Prabhupada was not like, he was just going through his Grahast ashram. And we know how in the first meeting with Narendra, right? Narendra, his friend. And Narendra was actually, Prabhupada says that I did not want to go. I know all the sadhus because Prabhupada had the experience of the sadhus, and they used to come, his father used to feed the sadhus, and he used to see sadhus used to eat, then they used to go out, smoke their ganja. He said, like, that where are pure sadhus? But Prabhupada said, I was literally dragged by Narendra to meet Bhakti Siddhanta Thakur. So he wasn't even ready for like a worldwide, like a mission of his entire life. So yeah, Prabhupada is saying there was no preparation for this, but somehow or other he desired it. It was all the desire. So Prabhupada is giving all credit to whom? Bhakti Saraswati Thakur. The Bhakti Saraswati Thakur desired it. And because Bhakti Saraswati Thakur had the desire, and by his mercy, so Prabhupada is, this should be the mood of a disciple. That was Guru Maharaj's instruction, and because Guru Maharaj desired it, hence things are actually happening. So Prabhupada is teaching us how to actually have that mood of a disciple. We are now engaged in this seva, and which has given us a transcendental occupation, has saved us. So nice point. It has given us a transcendental occupation. So when we are engaged in seva to the spiritual master, it is the mercy of the spiritual master to engage us in this transcendental occupation that saves us from being engaged with material engagements, right? I mean, just like, we had Janmashtami festival. Everyone was so busy, doing seva, doing this seva, that seva, drama, preparation, dance, all these. Everyone was so busy. And what is this? Just that point of being busy in seva is actually Prabhupada's mercy, so that we are actually away from material engagements. So even this, like Bhadra Purnima, right, on Tuesday, all focus on Bhagavatam distribution. And everyone yesterday was so excited to distribute Bhagavatam. And this is actually the mercy of Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupada's desire, Prabhupada's mercy, and we are engaged. That is also our engagement, also Prabhupada's mercy. That he has given us this opportunity to be engaged in transcendental occupation. And thus, he has saved us and liberated from the occupation of material activities. Like if we don't engage in transcendental seva, then what will happen? The entire, at work or anyone you meet material and ask, how was the weekend? And they will say, oh, actually in my house, my plumbing system broke. Then I had to spend so many hours. And then this happened and that happened. And then this sport was there. I mean, if we are not engaged in seva, we'll tend to go back and engage in those material activities. The material world, Maya, will take away all our time. There's no time for Krishna. But if we make priority seva to Krishna, then everything else, Krishna will say, okay, he's engaged in seva. Okay, this problem is there. Okay, solve. Krishna takes care, and we can get opportunity. So that way, Prabhupada has saved us. So this opportunity to engage in seva is also the mercy of the Guru. And he has liberated us from the occupation of material activity. Thus, it is actually a fact that one meets a saintly person, completely engaged in transcendental duties and achieves his favor, then one's life mission becomes complete. Such powerful, just that section of the purport is so powerful. What is not possible to achieve in thousands of lives can be achieved in one moment if there is an opportunity to meet a saintly person. Right? Just one moment association, and thousands of lives, actually millions of lives, and they're going on and on, like a Ferris wheel, upar niche, right? Up and down, up and down. But one moment association, the entire cycle is broken, right? An opportunity to engage in transcendental occupation, get free from material engagement, go back home, back to Father. The proper thoughts of that. Okay, now we'll come back to text 6. So in text 6, he said, Dishtya, by good fortune, may I, Bhagavan Drisha. It is my good fortune that I'm actually seeing you. So still Swayambhava Manu is actually speaking, and he's saying it's my good fortune that I'm actually getting your darshan. Durdarshaha. Actually, it is not easy to meet saintly people. Only the fortunate ones can meet saintly people, right? But I am so fortunate that actually I have met you, but it is not actually, you're not so easily seen by those who, and then further he actually makes the point. Durdasho hi akrita atmana. You are not easily seen by those who are akrita atmana, who cannot control their mind and the senses. So those who are unable to control their mind and senses, then for them to meet a devotee, very difficult. Right? What does this mean? Because they are so busy engaging, finding gratification to the mind and the senses, that a devotee may come so close to them physically, but because they're so engaged in this, that a devotee comes and they don't even notice the devotee, or they don't see that the golden opportunity right here associated with devotee, they don't notice and they miss that opportunity. So you are not seen. Though the devotee is so merciful that he wants to give his association to everyone, but because people are so absorbed in akritat atmana, they are just absorbed in satisfying their mind and the senses, they are not seeing pure devotee. They cannot see pure devotees, right? So hence pure devotees are durdashaha, very, you're not easily seen. Then further he actually says, so dishtya we see first line, then again third line, dishtya, right? Dishtya, again by good fortune, pada rajaha sprishtam shishna me bhagavata shivam, right? So it's very nice. Pada rajaha. Pada is lotus feet, rajaha is dust, right? It is my good fortune that I have received the dust of your lotus feet, sprishtam, touch on my head. And this actually, previously when Swayambhava Manu actually comes to the ashram, he actually falls at the feet of Kardamuni and he actually gets the dust of Kardamuni on his head. He said, my good fortune that I have received the dust of your lotus feet, and this has caused all auspiciousness, Shivam, right? All auspicious. And then Prabhupada further makes the point. Perfection of transcendental life simply by touching the holy dust of the lotus feet of holy men, one can get all perfection. Right? In Chaitanya Charitamrita also, it says, right, 3 things are Mahabala. What are the 3 things? One is the dust of the lotus feet of a devotee. One is the water that is washed with lotus feet. And third is the remnants of the food eaten by the devotee. These 3 things, right? So here, Prabhupada is actually making a point. Just by once getting that dust of a lotus feet of the pure devotees on one's head, then perfection of transcendental life can be achieved, right? And Prabhupada quotes a verse. This is a 5th canto, chapter 12, text number 12. Prabhupada does not give the reference, but it says, Mahat Pado Rajobhishekam. This is 5:12:12. And this is a conversation between Jadabharat and Rahugana. King Rahugana, when he actually receives the mercy of Jadabharat, he actually says, Rahuganai tata tapasa na yati. Okay, let's quickly share my screen. So, okay. So if you see here, the shloka, very nice shloka. Rahu ganai tat tapasa na yati, na chejaya nirvapanat grahadva, na chandasa naiva jalagni surya, vina mahat pado rajobhisheka. So one cannot attain one's perfection of life by what? Tapasa. One may do very severe austerities, severe penances, still no perfection of life. Na yati, right? That means it will not be revealed. Ijjaya, ijjaya. Ijjaya means by worshipping the deity. Even by worshipping the deity, perfection cannot be obtained, right? Then nirvapanad. Nirvapanad means doing all material duties and finally accepting sannyas. Doing all that. Will that give perfection? No, no, no. Grihat, you lead a life like an ideal householder, doing all the duties of varna and ashram. Will that give perfection? No, no, no. Right? Na chandasa. Chandasa means observing celibacy, or it means actually studying all the Vedic literatures. If I study all the Vedic literature, will you get perfection? No. Jalagni Surya. You perform severe austerities in the jala, in the water, or in the Surya, in the burning fire. Still you will not get perfection. With all these things, one cannot get perfection. How can one get perfection? Vina mahat pada rajobhishekam. The only way one can get perfection is by receiving the pada rajaha. The same word is there in this, pada rajaha, the dust of the lotus feet of a mahat, and you have to do abhishek with that. Right? You have to bathe in the dust of a lotus feet of a pure devotee, and then all perfection can be achieved. So Jadbharat is saying, O King Rahugana, all these things will not give perfection, but only by the dust of the lotus feet of great devotees can one realize the absolute truth. Even actually Prahlad Maharaj, he actually makes a similar shloka. Okay. So when Prahlad Maharaj is, when Hiranyakashipu asked Prahlad Maharaj, what have you learned from your teachers? Okay. What does Prahlad Maharaj actually say? One of the verses that he says is this one. Naisha matis tavad urukramangrim sprisharti anartha pa gamamo yad artha mahi yasham pada rajobhishekam. Exactly same. Mahi yasham pada rajah abhishekam. And nishkinchanana na prinitaya. Right? So Prahlad Maharaj is actually saying that unless they smear upon their bodies the dust of the lotus feet of a Vaishnava who is completely freed from material contaminations, persons very much inclined towards materialistic life cannot be attached to the lotus feet of the Lord who is glorified by uncommon activities. Right? So unless we receive the dust of a lotus feet of a devotee, unless we receive that mercy, we cannot understand the absolute truth. We cannot attain Krishna without receiving the dust of a lotus feet of a pure devotee. Now, further, Prabhupada actually makes a point. He says, who is a Mahat? Then Bhagavad Gita he quotes, Mahatmanas tu Mam Partha Daivim Prakritim Ashrita. The one who are under the shelter of the Daivi Prakriti, they are actually Mahatmanas. Who are actually under the internal potency of the Lord, they are Mahatmanas. Further, Prabhupada says, the Parampara system, the disciplic succession is very important. He quotes, Yasya, when one takes shelter of the lotus feet of great soul, there is every possibility of one becoming a great soul. Okay. Right. And then he quotes this, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur in the 8th verses is clearly stated, simply by satisfying the spiritual master, one can achieve the supreme success in life. Which is that shloka? Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, 8 stanzas of prayers to spiritual master is clearly saying, simply by satisfying the spiritual master, one can attain all success in life.
Yasya prasadat bhagavad prasad.
So from Guru Vastakam, Yasya prasada, Bhagavat prasada. Yasya prasad, nagat, na. Yasya prasada, Bhagavat prasado. Yasya prasada, nagati kutopi. Dhyayams tu vam sasya yashasvi sandhya. Vande Guru Shri Chandanavali. When you please Guru, then Krishna is pleased. Right? Otherwise, there is no possibility of attaining success. Right? Okay. Right. So Prabhupada again, he elaborates also on akritatma. The common man, they cannot control their mind and the senses. Right. Therefore, they miss the opportunity of taking shelter of a bona fide spiritual master. Okay. Next verse, text 7.
Dishtya tvayanu shishtoham kritaschanu mahan apavritai karnarandrar drushta dishtyo shatir giraha.
I have fortunately been instructed by you, and thus great favor has been bestowed upon me. I thank God that I have listened with open ears to your pure words. Hare Krishna.
So he's continuing. So 6 and 7, both verses are focused on what this word dishtya. Right? 2 times in 6 and 2 times in 7. Dishtya means by good fortune. So further he's saying, by good fortune, tvaya, by you, anushishta. I have been instructed by you, and just by receiving those instructions is actually you have done the great anugraha to me, great favor to me. Right? So this is actually a very important point, that when actually Vaishnavas, they come, they, traveling preachers, when we meet a Vaishnava, we normally think that, okay, Vaishnava has come, let me do some practical seva, let me cook for him, let me serve him. Yes, all that is good. But even just coming and listening to the katha, what the Vaishnava is saying, is actually the mercy, receiving the mercy of the Vaishnava. Because when the Vaishnava speaks Hari Katha, he's actually giving us instructions. And that receiving that instructions is actually giving the mercy. We are getting the mercy. So here is saying, I have been fortunately instructed by you. And then aham krita cha anugraha. And this is your great favor upon me. And what are the instructions? Did Kardamuni give instructions to Swayambhu Manu? One way, no. But the glorification of Kardamuni to Swayambhu Manu is taking, those are your instructions to me. And hence that is your favor. Right? And then further, the next part of shloka is Apavritehi Karna Randahi Justa Dishta Ushatiya Giraha. Again, Dishta. By great fortune, you gave me the instructions, and by great fortune, I have heard those instructions by what? Apavritaha. Open Karna Randrahi. With the open holes of the ears, I have received your Ushityaha Giraha, those pure ones. Right? So not only it is a good fortune that you have instructed me and showed me your mercy, but also a good fortune that when you were instructing me, I was not distracted. And I actually heard those instructions with open ear holes. Karna Randhara. With open ear. That means I have actually received this instruction with great attention. So even that part of like listening to a lecture with great attention, that also is a mercy that we can actually hear, right? So for that also he's saying that by your mercy, I could actually hear them properly, right? So Prabhupada in the purport, he said, Rupa Goswami has given directions in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu of how to accept a bona fide spiritual master and how to deal with him, right? So 2 points he actually says. One is a desiring candidate must find a bona fide spiritual master. And second, one should eagerly receive instructions from him and execute those instructions. Right. So if you see in the first, in the 64 instructions of Rupa Goswami in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, the first few are just focused on what? Accepting a bona fide spiritual master, receiving instructions from him, taking initiation, Diksha, Shikshadi, right? Diksha and Shiksha you take from the spiritual master. These are all the first instructions of those 64 instructions that Rupa Goswami gives. And Prabhupada is actually referring to those, right? So we should eagerly receive instructions and then execute that. Right. And further, Prabhupada says, everyone is under delusion of Maya and forgetful of his prime duty, which is actually Krishna consciousness. But the Guru or the saintly people, they actually desire everyone to become saintly. Right? What is the desire of a pure devotee? Prabhupada traveling all around the world. He wants everyone to take up Krishna consciousness and become a pure devotee. Right? How the famous incident I like to quote that that one disciple came to Prabhupada and he said, Bhagavatam talks of 12 Mahajans, right? And the disciple said, Prabhupada, I think you're the 13th Mahajan, the way you're preaching. And he was glorifying Prabhupada in that way. And Prabhupada looked at him, okay, you become the 14th Mahajan. So Prabhupada is like going everywhere and making everyone Krishna conscious, and he wants everyone to become a pure devotee. So that is the function of the great saintly people, to actually invoke Krishna consciousness in the heart of everyone. And when they are going around giving this message, the disciples should be very inquisitive to hear. And okay. And then further, Prabhupada actually makes this point that mercy of the devotee is not received through any part of the body, but through the ear. See, when you get blessings, you go to a saintly people, like even B. Krishna Maharaj, you go and ask, Maharaj, please give me a blessing. And Maharaj will say, blessings, take. Maharaj he has a mood of sense of humor. So he says, okay, take blessing. Actually, what is the point here? The point Prabhupada is making the purpose. Blessings comes, how do you receive the blessings? Through the ears. That means what? Not only you approach Maharaj and say, okay, Maharaj, please give me blessing. Maharaj, when he says something, those instructions are actually the blessings of Maharaj. That he's giving us instructions how to actually execute our life. And that is a real mercy. So Prabhupada is saying the mercy of a Vaishnava is received through the ear. Through the ear, right? And then Prabhupada further says the bona fide Guru knows what is the nature of each one of us, right? He knows that this disciple, his mood is so and so. And based on the nature of the disciple, the Guru will give a particular instruction, and that instruction is actually his mercy. Right? Further, Prabhupada also says that he instructs him through the ear, not privately but publicly. Very interesting. Prabhupada is making a point. In quotes, he said, you are fit for such and such work in Krishna consciousness, you can act in this way. Why publicly and not privately? Everyone sees that section? Prabhupada is saying that the guru will see, okay, so and so disciple, this is his tendency. Or this disciple is more inclined to deity worship. That is be the way he can actually progress in bhakti. This disciple, book distribution. This disciple, this so and so. And based on that, he'll give the instruction. But Prabhupada is saying the guru will give the instruction publicly, not privately. Why is that? Would anyone like to share any thoughts on that? Anyone, any thoughts?
Prabhuji, I was thinking the other way, the disciples in the or the devotees in the male body, they usually do receive instructions in private also, right?
But then why is Prabhupada making this point that he instructs him through the year, not privately but publicly? You are fit for such and such work in Krishna consciousness, you can act in that way. See, two things happen. When publicly you receive the instruction, one is, when everyone else, like how Prabhupada received the instruction, and everyone was in the, Bhakti Saraswati Thakur was giving a class, and in the class he said, you are young, intelligent man, why don't you preach this message all around the world? Now, one way, when the disciple receives the instruction in front of other disciples, he actually feels that responsibility that in front of everyone, the guru has given me this instruction. So that is more a bigger level of commitment rather than a private. Just like at the time of initiation, By the time of initiation, what does the guru say? Okay, what are the four regulative principles? And we say, okay, use the mic, tell on the mic. Why is that? Because you want everyone to hear, I'm taking a vow in front of the guru. So everyone hears, this is my vow. So even the guru, he'll actually say in front of everyone, you are a book distributor. Focus on this, do this. So one, your line, your seva is clear. And also the other devotees know that the focus of this devotee is so and so. Because in a society of devotees, what happens? Anyone will okay, we need help in so and so department, like Prabhupada also here said, deity worship or editorial work or preaching work or cooking department. All these needs are there. And if it is actually clearly said that the guru wants his disciple to focus on this aspect, not that he does not do the other thing, but his main aspect is this, then it's clear for the disciple, and also other devotees in the society knows that his main seva that the guru has given is so and so. And they will actually assist that disciple to actually fulfill that desire of the guru. So that way, and that's my understanding. That's how I took this point about publicly and not privately. Right? Anyone would like to add any points, you can always add that, right? And then, yes, okay. And Prabhupada says, actually, once you receive the instructions based on what is your nature, if you actually execute those instructions simply by offering seva according to his ability, he can actually attain all perfection. Right? So this combination, the instruction of the spiritual master and the faithful execution of the instruction by the disciple makes the entire process perfect. Guru will give the instruction. If the disciple takes the instruction as one's life and soul, then that combination is perfect. We have mentioned this before. If you search in Veda base, where Prabhupada says, this is the secret of success, which verse do we actually come across? Prabhupada quotes one verse and he repeatedly says, this is a secret of success. Anyone remembers that? We have mentioned that in the classes earlier. he actually quotes the verse, Yasya deve para bhaktir yatha deve tatha guru tasya katita yartha prakashante bharatan. One who has implicit faith in both the Guru and the Lord. Right? To him, all the instructions of the Vedas are actually revealed to that person. Yasadeve parabhakti, yathadeve tatha guru. Right? So this combination, that receiving, having that faith in the spiritual master, receiving instructions from the Guru, and making those instructions as one's life and soul, that means entire process is actually perfect. Bhagavad Gita says what? Vyavasyatmika buddhi. And in that purport, what does Prabhupada actually quote? He quotes a verse, Yasya Deve Parabhakti. Oh, sorry, he quotes Yasya Prasada Bhagavad Prasada. And Prabhupada says, when I read this one verse of the Bhagavad Gita and the commentary by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, I understood my entire life's purpose is just one, to fulfill the desire of Bhakti Saraswati Thakur to actually preach Krishna consciousness all around the world. That is my mission. Right? So he made that point. You know? So one should very carefully receive the message from spiritual master through the years and execute it faithfully. That will make one's life successful. Okay. Text number 8.
Sabhavan duhitri sneha pariklishatmano mama shrotum arhasi dinasya shravitam kripaya mune.
Hare Krishna. O great sage, graciously be pleased to listen to the prayer of my humble self, for my mind is troubled by affection for my daughter. Hare Krishna.
Very interesting. Like, we are learning a lot about guru-disciple relationship here. And also further, when we read the section of the relationship between Devahuti and Kardamuni, that also Prabhupada stresses a lot that yes, that relationship between the husband and wife, but that relationship Prabhupada explains in terms of guru-disciple relationship. And very, very nice, important points for guru-disciple relationship are there in that section. So here, what does Swayambhuva continue? He says, "Oh great sage," right, Mune, "Oh great sage, Bhavan, you are actually an ocean of mercy. Kripaya arhasi shatum, graciously, right, okay, so Kripaya means by way of mercy, right? Arhasi shrotum shavitam dinasya, right? So graciously be pleased to listen the prayer of dinasya, of my humble son, right? So the point is here, see, previously Swayambhuva Manu has made the point that by seeing you, all my doubts have actually gone away. But Swayambhuva Manu is actually admitting that yes, all my suffering has gone on, but there is one suffering that still remains in my heart. And what is that suffering that does not go away? That is the suffering because of my affection. Duhitra sneha pariklishta atmana. Because of my affection for my daughter, there is this one suffering in my mind, one point in my mind because of which my mind is agitated. And hence, I am going to make a request to you. Right? And Prabhupada makes such a nice point in the purport. He says when the disciple receives the instructions from the Guru, he executes it perfectly. Then the disciple has a right to ask a particular favor from Guru. Imagine what Prabhupada is making that point. Disciple has a right to ask a particular favor from Guru. Normally we say, what should be a disciple's modes of service to a Guru? Just selflessly keep serving the Guru. But when the service is done, then disciple can actually ask something from the Guru. And what is that? What does a disciple normally ask? Guru Maharaj, I have done this seva just for your pleasure. Please accept this, be pleased. And then the disciple may ask, but Guru Maharaj, there is this one thing in my heart, this one anartha which I'm struggling with. Like how in the 10th canto it actually says that there are certain anarthas, demons which Balram killed, and those anarthas can be taken out only by the mercy of Guru. And when will the Guru take them out? When the disciple hears the Guru's instruction, follows the instruction and pleases the Guru, then the disciple can come to the Guru and say, Guru Maharaj, this anartha is not coming out from my heart. Please, only by your mercy this anartha can come out. Right? So hence, Prabhupada says, the disciple has a right to ask a particular favor from the Guru. Not a favor of like, okay, Guru Maharaj, I did so many books, I distributed this. Now, Guru Maharaj, please whatever, like, bless me that I have a big house, a success. No, he's not interested in material thing. All he's interested is that there is something which I need to progress in my spiritual life, or there is something that's bothering my mind because of which I cannot chant Hare Krishna properly. So you please help me, by your favor, take this away. Right? Right. So then Prabhupada also said, but even if there is a need, normally a disciple does not ask anything, but even if there is a need to ask a favor from spiritual master, one cannot ask that favor without satisfying him fully. So first one should hear, right? Even when Maharaj Haldar Swami Maharaj was here, he was giving classes. In the class, he made the point what? Tadvidi paripatena pariprashnena sevaya. And he actually made the point. So, first is one approaches a bona fide guru, right? And then he said one should do seva. Then comes the point of question, right? There are three aspects in the shloka, right? One should surrender to a bona fide guru, one should actually render service, and one should ask question, right? And he actually said, first we actually approach a guru, then we do seva. We please the guru, then we become qualified to actually ask a favor from the guru. Right? And that's the point Prabhupada is making here. One cannot ask a favor without satisfying the guru. Okay. Okay, next sloka, text 9. And I have some references here. If you want to read 11th canto, chapter number 3, text number 21, 22, and 23. They all talk about this relationship of guru and disciple and the importance of taking shelter of guru. Tasmat gurum prapaddeta jigashu shreya uttama shabde pareta nishtatam brahmani upashrayashaya. This is actually a verse Prabhupada often quotes. Tasmat gurum prapaddeta, one should take shelter of a guru, etc. So 21, 22, and 23. You can read those three verses about how a disciple should actually serve the guru. Okay. So what is that one thing that was bothering Swayambhuva Manu? He said, by seeing you, by your darshan, all my doubts are gone, except that one thing. What is that one thing? His affection for his daughter. Right? Now we'll see what he says. Okay, go ahead.
Prabhuji, what 11th canto, what chapter, Prabhu?
3, 21 to 20.
Okay.
Chapter 3, 21 to 20. This is a conversation of Nava Yogendras. Okay, next, text number 9.
Priyavrto tanapado svaseyang duhita mama anvichati patim yuktam vayashila gunadibihi.
Translation: My daughter is the sister of Priyavrata and Uttanapada. She is seeking a suitable husband in terms of age, character, and good qualities.
So here he's saying, what is it? Priyavrata, Uttanapada. Who are these two? The brothers of Devahuti. So he's actually saying, yes, I have attachment to my daughter, but this daughter is so qualified. Right? It says she is the sister of Priyavrata and Uttanapada. That means what? That the family lineage is very good. Because imagine Priyavrata, Uttanapada, such great personalities, and she is a sister. So, right. So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is saying, by making these points, there are unnecessary worries in the mind of Kardama that he may have some worries that she's daughter of an emperor. I don't know how she is. He's taking away all these worries, right? He's saying unnecessary worries are removed. So she is a sister of Priyavrata and Uttanapada. And not only that, she is Duhita Mama. Duhita Mama means my daughter. And who is he? He's the emperor of the world. Swayambhuva Manu. He's a Kshatriya. She is a Kshatriya's daughter. Then further, Anvichati Patim Yuktam. And what is she looking for? A pati. Right? She's looking for a pati, a suitable husband. And Vaya Shila Guna Adipi. Right? She's looking for a suitable husband in terms of Vayaha Shila Guna Adipi, by age, character, good qualities. Right? So one thing is guru-disciple relationship, but we also see that mood of husband and wife, right? The Grihast ashram, the union between man and woman. What are the qualifications and all those things? Right? So Swayambhu Manu is actually one way telling, my daughter is so qualified. She has good character, right? She is a good character and she's well qualified, right? Therefore, she is searching a suitable husband, which is befitting her age, qualities, and character. Right. So, and Prabhupada further says that the girl came from a very good family. So he's making that point. And it's clear that the daughter was mature in age and qualities, and she's not okay. And further, he makes the point that not only he's making that his daughter is so qualified, but he's also making the point that his daughter, just that she did not go alone to search out for a husband, but she's actually come with me. That shows her quality. And Prabhupada says, the daughter was mature in age and quality. She did not go out and find her husband independently, right? She's actually just come with her father, and she's actually desiring to find a suitable husband. Okay, text 10.
Yada tu bhavata shila shuta rupa vayo gunan ashrino naradad esha tvai asit krita nishchayam.
Hare Krishna. The moment she heard from the sage Narada of your noble character, learning, beautiful appearance, youth, and other virtues, she fixed her mind upon you.
Right. So how did Devotee know about Kardama? Yada, when Ashrut from whom? Narad Muni. Narad Muni came and told Devotee, this person is that Kardama. And what is his quality? Narad Muni said, his Shila. Shila means noble character. Shruta, his learning, his education. Right? Then Rupa, beautiful appearance. Vayaha, youth. Gunan, virtues. So all these five things, Kardamuni is endowed with all these five things. Tvai asit krita nishchaya. And as soon as she heard, oh, Kardamuni is actually so qualified. He has such a noble character, such good learning, so beautiful, so youthful, so many virtues. She actually, Tvai asit krita nishchaya. She fixed her mind upon Kardamuni. Right? So Prabhupada makes a very interesting point, a short purport, but he actually says, Devotee did not personally see or experience a character. Just by hearing from Narada, she said, okay, I'm going to marry Kardama. Right? And then Prabhupada makes a point. Hearing from authority is better experience than personal understanding. Now, is that true in these days? Hearing from authority is better than personal experience. Now, if you tell this to anyone, that a father is telling the daughter, oh, this person is so good, just marry. What will the daughter first say? Let me meet him, let me talk to him, let me see if there is compatibility, and then I will decide. That's how the Kali Yuga has become. But here we see that when Narad Muni, see, one thing in Kali Yuga is the authority itself is, like if someone like Narad Muni comes and tells you, oh, you want to get married, this person is suitable. If Narad Muni is coming and say, then you say, okay, for sure. Narad Muni is saying, then how can I say no? For sure, this is perfect for me. But now one is the faith in the authorities is not there. And also the authorities, because they are not qualified based on the Shastra, even they are speaking is by their own personal experience, which is actually bound by flaws. So unless it is like a devotee who is actually qualified with the quality of Shastra, and when he says something that, I think this is going to be perfect, then we can take the authority. But otherwise, all these doubts come because, everyone's qualities in Kali Yuga have actually degraded. But hearing from authority is better experience. And particularly the point is, you have to hear from authority, right? Authority. If the authority is saying, then we should just accept it. Yes, okay, that's it. And also personal understanding. I mean, even if a girl says, okay, I'll meet the boy and then I'll find out whether he's compatible. I mean, there are so many limitations. How can you know a person in like few meetings? What can we know in that, right? So there's so many limitations. So hence, Prabhupada is making that if you have an authority who is actually saying, then take the word of the authority. Okay. Now text 11.
Tat praticha dvija Greyamam Shraddhayo Paritamaya Sarvatmananurupam Te Grihamedishu Karmashu.
Therefore, please accept her, O chief of the Brahmanas, for I offer her with faith, and she is in every respect fit to be your wife and take charge of your household duties.
So here he's actually saying, Swayambhu Manu is saying that therefore, because she is so qualified, therefore, Dvija Agreya, O best of the Brahmanas, Praticha Imam, please accept my daughter. And don't say no, just accept her. Shraddhaya Uparitam, I offer her with Shraddha, right? With Shraddha, with faith, I am giving my daughter to you. And Sarva Atmana, in every way, Anurupam, she is actually suitable for you. And then Griha Medishu Karmashu, she will actually take charge of your household duties properly. So don't have any doubts. She'll be perfect for you. She'll take care of your household duties. And she's a suitable wife for you. Right? So purport focuses on this word. Sarva Atmana Sarva Atmanu Rupam. The wife should be equal to the husband in age, character, and qualities. Right? And Griha Medishu Karmasu. She should be actually helpful to the husband in household duties. Right? So when, even in ISKCON, when there are marriages, and then we invite some sannyasis or senior devotees to speak, it is not uncommon that they will select a shloka from this section of the Bhagavatam, because there's so much on this husband-wife relationship. Right? Okay. And then Prabhupada further makes the point that household duty of a man is not to satisfy his sense gratification, but to remain with wife and children. But at the same time, what is the focus? Grihastha ashrama. Ashrama means a place to make spiritual progress. Right? So, hence, a husband should be focused on the grihastha ashrama, right? Not griha medi. Griha medi means focusing the entire focus of the marriage life is sense gratification. That's griha medi. But grihastha ashrama means that entire ashrama is focused on progressing in spiritual life. So, okay. So for the last part of the proposal, but for a grihast, a qualified wife is an assistant in every respect for advancement in spiritual activities. So wife assists the husband in progressing in spiritual activities. It is the duty of the wife to take charge of the household affairs and not to compete with the husband. A wife is meant to help, but she cannot help her husband unless he is completely equal in her age, character, and quality. So Prabhupada is pointing out, why equal in age, character, and quality? Because the wife is actually meant to help the husband, but if that compatibility is not there, then how will the wife actually serve the husband, right? So, right, okay, so the qualities of a wife. Okay.
What does it mean to not to compete with the husband?
Not to compete, like, in the sense that a wife is actually like, okay, so first point is if the husband's focus is really progressing in the spiritual life, that he is actually focusing on the entire household, that our whole, my wife, children, and my main goal is everyone should grow in their Krishna consciousness. Now, if that is the focus of the husband, then the wife should just assist the husband in doing the duties so that everyone can progress in Krishna consciousness, right? Compete in the sense that the the husband, if he is a nice devotee, which focus is clear, and the wife has some different mentality, and she's saying like, no, I want to do this better, I am better than you, that mood of competition. It should be the mood of cooperation, not the mood of competition. And if that helps, Mata, you would.
Yeah, yes, thank you.
All this, like, often when discussions come, they quote, we often quote from this section. But here Prabhupada is clearly making the point that yes, the wife is should be submissive to the husband, provided the husband is a devotee of Krishna. And we see certain families, if the husband is not so inclined in Krishna consciousness, but the wife is more inclined, then the dynamics is different. Because finally the whole goal is the whole family should progress in Krishna. So that dynamics is very, but if the husband is a devotee, then the wife assists in that way. Okay.
Prabhuji, I have a question. in the text itself, why the word Grihmedi is used and not a Grihastha? Because Kardama Muni is such a qualified husband. He has done thousands of years of tapasya, and he is always careful about advancement in spiritual life. I mean, he's an ideal husband. Then why?
So in this verse, when it says Griha Medishu Karmasu, she will actually assist you in all your household duties. There, the Griha Medi is not as such as the comparison between a Griha Medi and Grihastha. It is just saying a general statement that in a household duties, she will actually assist you. Right? So it is not making that comparison that Prabhupada is actually stressing on. So certainly, like, see, Prabhupada says, the word Griha Medishu Karmasu, first sentence, is household duties. He's not making the distinction there whether the household is focused on sense gratification or not. That further Prabhupada elaborates in further the distinction between Griha Medi and Grihastha.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Next one. Let's go ahead.
Ud yatasya hi kamasya prativado na shashyate api nirmukta sangasya kama raktasya kim punaham.
Hare Krishna. To deny an offering that has come of itself is not commendable, even for one absolutely free from all attachment, much less one addicted to sensual pleasures.
Yeah. So here, why is Swayambhu Manu making all these points? Yes, he wants his daughter to get married to Kardama, but he's actually here, making all these points that he's saying that, oh, Kardama, you should not say, I am a detached brahmachari. I cannot accept your daughter. Don't make such points. And then here, he's actually elaborating and saying, Udyatasya. If something comes of its own accord, right? Kamasya, for material desire. So, if something is coming for material desire out of its own accord, right? Mana sasyate. It's not commendable to api nirmukta sangasya, right? Even for one who is free from attachment, of kim puna kama raktasya, how much less of one who actually wants to fulfill that material desire. Now, what is the point here? So Prabhupada also said, in material life, everyone is desire for sense gratification. Therefore, a person who gets an object of sense gratification without endeavor should not refuse to accept it. Right? So we talked about this last time, that how there are certain material desires which, based on our current progress in our spiritual life, we need those desires to be fulfilled just so that we can actually be peaceful in our engagement in Krishna consciousness. Right? So we talked about like how Kardama Muni's desire is to get a wife so that he can actually lead, create progeny, but also continue his spiritual life is his focus, right? So the wife is actually a necessity here. It is a material desire. It is not a pure anyabhilasita sunyam. It is a material desire. But when those kinds of material desire, which are not against our Krishna consciousness, but at that moment in our spiritual journey needed for us to progress in bhakti, when those desires are automatically arranged in such a way that those desires are fulfilled, one should accept it. But yes, Krishna has fulfilled this, so I could engage in so and so seva. Right? One should not say no when things are actually coming of their own accord. So Prabhupada makes the point that Swayambhu Manu, he knew Kardama aspired to marry, and he had prayed to the Lord for a suitable wife. So hence he's saying, you prayed for it, right? So do not, now your prayers are being answered. So do not reject, do not say no to this offer. Everyone is okay with this point, right? Now, one should not use this shloka as a way of saying that, there may be some desires which are pulling us away from Krishna. And maybe we have certain material desires. And then somehow, because of karma, the desire are actually fulfilled, right? And then we get some bonus or this happens, that happens. And we shouldn't say that, oh, yes, Krishna, it is coming of his own accord, so I should accept it. We are talking of those material desires which are not against a Krishna consciousness. And that may be, so that's the point here, right? So we should accept it. Right? Okay, next verse, 13.
Ya udyatam anadritya kinasham abhiyachate kshiyate tad yasha spitam manascha vagyaya hataha.
Hare Krishna. One who rejects an offering that comes of its own accord, but later begs a boon from a miser, thus loses his widespread reputation, and his pride is humbled by the neglectful behavior of others. Hare Krishna.
So he's making the point that now, you desire the wife has come on its own accord. You didn't have to do anything. I have brought my daughter, and she'll be a suitable wife for you. So don't say no. And then here he's saying, one who rejects something out of shyness or concern of position, like, if Kardamuni says like, oh, no, I am such a strict brahmachari, how can I accept? Right? I mean, he's prayed for the wife, but if his mood is that to keep like, maybe we can kind of consider that maybe in devotee circles, someone is like, has some pride that, oh, I am a strict brahmachari, and in public, someone comes and says that I heard that you're trying to change to white. Why don't you accept so and so person? And in front of everyone, if the offer comes, the brahmachari says, oh, if I say yes, then people will say, what kind of brahmachari is this? My position will be affected. People will say, what kind of devotee? Or out of shyness, he'll say, no, I cannot accept. So here, Swayambhu Manu is making the point, if one who rejects an offering, and then later on, because the desire is there, he will reject it now, and then he will ask from someone else. Actually, do you know any girl who's looking to get married? I want to get married. Later on, he asks someone else. Then, what is he saying? Then his shiyate, he loses his yataha spitam, his widespread reputation, his manaha, his honor is lost, and then also avigya hataha. When he goes and asks someone else for that same thing, then the people may say, no, what is this? No, nothing. I don't have anything. And you will be humbled by their rejecting your request, right? So better that it's come right now, accept it. Don't say no. Everyone is following this sequence? Okay. Right. So Prabhupada makes a point in the purport. He says, for a respectable marriage, the father actually offers the daughter to suitable boy. So even in the marriage ceremony, like, we do Vedic marriages, in that also there is one Kanya Dan, right? It's a part of that marriage ceremony. And what is Kanya Dan? That means the father is actually giving away the daughter and like a dan, like in charity. So that's actually considered a very respectable. Actually, they say, in tradition circles, not that without that Kanya Dan, the aspect of the marriage is not complete, right? You have to do that Kanya Dan. So respectable marriage means father is giving the daughter to a suitable boy, right? And then when the boy goes to the girl's father and asks for a hand, that's actually very humbling. The father, some boys goes and says, oh, father, oh, so-and-so person, I want to marry your daughter. That's very humbling. Why? Because a person can say, no, you're not qualified. I don't want to give my daughter to you. Very humbling. So that's the point. So do not reject the offer. Else you will have to ask someone else, right? And that person may not behave with you properly. You'll be humbled by that. Hence, you actually just accept this offer. Right. And also Prabhupada makes another important point here. He says, another feature of this incident is that Swayambhu Manu was the emperor, but he went to offer his qualified daughter to a poor Brahmana. Imagine, right? With a king. Now, Kardamuni, what is the opulence he has? He's just staying in the ashrama. He may have like, few cloths to cover his body, kopin, some cloth here, there. What is he eating? He doesn't have any opulence like the royal kingdom. He's eating maybe some fruits here, some roots here. That's what his meals. He's staying in the forest on the banks of river Saraswati, right? But still, Swayambhu Manu did not hesitate that, oh, Kardama, he doesn't have any money. How can I give my daughter? He is giving his daughter, and what is his focus? And Prabhupada is actually saying, Kardamuni had no worldly possessions. He was a hermit living in the forest, but he was advanced in culture. Therefore, in offering one's daughter to a person, the culture and quality are counted as prominent. not wealth or other material considerations. Is that true in this age of Kali Yuga? I mean, immediately the father is looking for a match for the daughter. He'll say like, okay, which company he works for? How much money does he get? I mean, these are all considerations people see. Right? But here the point is actually made that more important. Yes, maybe in Kali Yuga, yes, we have to see that they have at least the basic necessities are met, But more important than that is what is the culture and quality of that person. Because someone may be super rich, but if he does not have the right character, what is the use of that person, right? So quality and culture should be given more prominence than the aspect of material wealth. Okay, text 40.
Aham tva shrinnavam vidvan vivahartham samudyatam atastvam upakurvana ratam pratigrahaname.
Translation, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Swayambhu Manu continued, O wise men, I heard that you were prepared to marry. Please accept her hand, which is being offered to you by me, since you have not taken a vow of perpetual celibacy. Hare Krishna.
So he's saying, the last verse, he says, Vidvan, O wise man, aham ashravan. I have heard, right? I have heard that you, Kardamuni, you actually prayed to the Lord to get married. So that certainly means that you have not taken this vow of Tvam Upa Kurvanaha, right? That Upa Kurvanaha. That is actually, I'll explain further. You have not taken a vow of lifelong celibacy, right? Upa Kurvanaha. Then Pratam Pratigra me. Therefore, please accept her hand being offered to you by me. Right? So Prabhupada makes a point there are two kinds of brahmachari. One is Naistik brahmachari. Who is the example for this in our acharyas? Bhakti Saraswati Thakur, right? Naistik brahmachari. Once take a vow, that's it. Whole lifelong brahmachari. Not even thought of the opposite sex. Lifelong brahmachari. The other class of brahmacharis are Upa Kurvana, the same word that is there in the Sanskrit verse, not taken a vow of perpetual celibacy. That means those brahmacharis, they'll say, okay, for few years, I'll stay brahmachari, I'll get trained in the ashram, I will learn all the spiritual values, I will focus on studying the Shastra. And then after a particular moment, then I will turn to white, I will take white, and then I get married. So Swayambhu Manu is saying that I already know that your brahmachari is that of Upakarna. That means they have stayed celibate for a certain time. Now it is the time to get. So because you have accepted that kind of brahmachari, so please accept her hand. Do not reject it. So this is what Swayambhu Manu is actually telling Kardamuni. He gives 6 reasons that we have read so far for Kardamuni to accept his daughter. What are the 6 reasons? First reason, that my daughter is the sister of Priyavrat and Uttanapad. So great family life, right? The girl is from great family life. Second, she is seeking a suitable husband in terms of age, character, and good qualities, right? Second point. Third point, and she actually heard your glories from Narad Muni, and she has already fixed her mind on you, right? And when a girl fixes her mind on someone, then they say like, okay, then Vedic culture means, okay, you should get married to that person. So she has fixed her mind upon you. Third reason. Fourth reason, she'll be a suitable wife for you in every way. So she will take care of all your griha medeshu karmasu. All your household duties she will take care, right? Fourth point. Fifth point, to deny an offering, you prayed for it and the offering is coming out of its own accord, do not deny it. Otherwise, it will just, out of shyness or out of pride for one's position, or if you deny it now, then later on you will ask and then you may be denied and you may be humbled. So something is coming of its own accord, accept it. Right? And then point number 6 is you have not taken a vow of perpetual celibacy. You're not a Naistika brahmachari, hence you accept my daughter, get married. Okay. Okay, so let's stop here. We'll take a 5 minutes break, and also maybe everyone can break their Ekadashi vow, because the time is up to 8:44. So if you're not done so, 6:58 to 8:44. So we can just take a quick break, take a grain, and then 5 minutes we'll come back. And today the class I'm going to end a little early because we have another Veg Fest event. So we have to go there and have to be there by 10:15. So I'm going to end the class a little early, right? So before we end, any quick points or any thoughts anyone would like to share?
Prabhuji, just a thought. She's already fixed her mind, right, Prabhu? So it's not like parents arranged it. How can we understand that?
Yeah, so one way Narad Muni, see, if Narad Muni has come and told her that this is your husband, then certainly it is the plan of the Lord, right? Because Narad Muni is like such a pure devotee. So that way we can see that everything is one way arranged by the Lord, but still, though it is arranged by the Lord, the parents are doing the role to actually set everything in a proper way. They are actually following the proper Vedic etiquette. And this whom we are talking of, Swayambhu Manu, who is actually the head of all the Manushya. If he does not set the proper example, then how will all the human beings actually follow? Right?
Thank you.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, I like the point that if one faithfully executes the instruction of the spiritual master, then and that is the only duty of the disciple, and then the disciple will achieve all perfection. Hare Krishna.
And also it's so interesting that Prabhupada makes the point that disciple has a right to ask a favor, not a material favor, but some favor. And it is important because, as I mentioned, there are certain anarthas in our heart which we cannot do it. Like just by chanting Hare Krishna, doing our daily sadhana, they will not go out. One has to really go in front of the Guru, fall at the feet, and then ask the Guru, Guru Maharaj, this anartha is there. Right? So when we see in 10th canto, the demons that Balram kills and how Bhaktivinoda Thakur relates each one of a demon to a particular anartha, we should actually know that all those anarthas, one has to actually go to the Guru and ask for his blessings to take away the anartha. They will not just go away by our daily sadhana. It requires that more special mercy of a Guru.
Sorry, Prabhuji, I missed it. Which anarthas, Prabhuji?
See the demons that Balram killed in the 10th canto?
Yeah.
So those demons are those anarthas compared to certain anarthas that Bhaktivinoda Thakur actually mentions. Vijay Radhika Mataji?
I was just, like adding to what Mamsi Gopal Prabhu was asking, right, about she has made up her mind. But that is one of the most important, the 6 points that he's saying, she's also willing to, she's made up her mind to marry you. For example, Rukmini, even though her marriage was arranged, she was not willing. So thinking that is also important in arranging for a marriage, the girl's consent.
I mean, it's interesting you brought up that point. Because when we talk of a girl's consent, see, that's the thing. See, one thing is what is the ideal Vedic standard? That is what we are seeing in this. In the entire section, we'll see more also. The ideal Vedic standard. This is what is the ideal. But now Kali Yuga is actually degraded to such an extent that many times we cannot just jump to the ideal, but at least we have the ideal in mind and we can actually take a decision towards that ideal. Do you understand the difference? That because the Kali Yuga is so degraded, we are already like so far from Vedic culture. Many times, if you actually jump to the ideal, it may not be practical and it may not actually work. But we understand, we don't deny the ideal, but we actually work towards the ideal. So in ideal Vedic system, how much is the girl's consent actually there? Actually, if you see in the ideal Vedic system, and Prabhupada says later on in the purport that how the daughter is always dependent on the father. The father actually decides, I know my daughter well, and I know what is her nature, and I know this person will be qualified to actually marry her and will take care of her nicely. He'll say compatibility is there, character is there, good qualities is there, he's spiritual minded. He'll see all that and say, okay, daughter, this is the best one. And if the father is a devotee, like again, everything we are talking ideal, and the father knows, then he'll make the best match for the daughter. Then the daughter is submissive, say, okay, I have faith in my father because he is so, an elevated personality. What he's saying, he's authority. I will accept it. I'll marry. That's ideal, right? But then coming to Kali Yuga standard, then we have to see, because here, because the father may make a decision, but his decision is also based on pratyaksha, right? Pratyaksha, again, his understanding, pratyaksha, anuman, and so on. So that could be flaws. Then there may be requirement for something else. Right? So yeah, we don't deny the ideal, but we have to work towards the ideal, and we have to be practical based on Kali Yuga.
Prabhuji, in the case of Rukmini, actually the father didn't decide it. It was her brother who fixed the marriage without asking him.
Okay. So yeah, so the father actually desired that Krishna actually married, and even the citizens actually desired that Krishna would be the best match for Rukmini, right? But only the brother, because he was envious. He hated Krishna actually. Rukmini hated Krishna, and that's why he said, "Oh, Shishupal, he's the ideal person." Karuna Purna Shakti Mata.
Yes, Prabhu. In the last sentence of the purport in text 9, Prabhupada says that she had expressed her desire for a suitable husband corresponding to her character, age, and quality. And the father himself, out of affection for his daughter, took charge of finding such a husband. And then in the next text, again in the last sentence, Prabhupada says that she had heard from Narada Muni that Kardama Muni was just fit to be her husband. Therefore, she became fixed in her heart that she would marry him. And this is the important part that I thought, that she just expressed her desire to her father, who therefore brought her before him. So it sounded like she actually did want to marry him.
Yeah.
And her father made all the arrangements. So she was giving her consent to marry him and expressing her desire.
Yeah. That's true. In this situation, for sure, because again, we see Narad Muni is an authority. So he's come at the right time. He's planted the seed, So Devotee has expressed a desire that, okay, this should be the perfect. So again, the point is here, Devotee is accepting the authority of who? Narad Muni. And then normally in the ideal Vedic, the daughter accepts the authority of the father. Again, I'm using the word ideal again and again to make the point that the ideal standard is this. So the daughter accepts. Father is the authority, and then this. So. Thank you, Mataji, for bringing that up. Okay, any other points? Anyone? I mean, in this section, we are learning so much about Grihastha ashram, the dynamics between a daughter and a father. And then further we learn the dynamics between a husband and a wife. So there's a lot of Grihastha ashram, but it's all a sequence of attachment, detachment, attachment, detachment. Okay, so let's take a quick break and then we'll come back. We'll continue for some more verses. Thank you so much. Shri Prabhupada ki jai, Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama 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 Rama, Hare Hare Bol, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. A little louder, please. From your heart, please.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Okay, Hare Krishna, everyone. So let's continue. We are going to see how Kardama Muni is going to accept Devahuti now. Right. So text number 15.
Text 15. Rishir Uvacha Badham Udvodhukamoham Apratacha Tavatmaja Avayor Anurupo Sav Adyo Vaivahiko Vidihi.
The great sage replied, "Certainly I have a desire to marry, and your daughter has not yet married or given her word to anyone. Therefore, our marriage, according to the Vedic system, can take place."
Right. So here, so Kardama Muni starts speaking, and he says actually he gives different reasons why he's willing to accept this. Right. So he says Udvadu Kamaha Ama. That aham, I certainly have a desire to get married. Right. So he's already last point that Swayambhuva Manu actually said that you're not lifelong brahmachari. So he's agreeing and saying, yes, I have a desire to marry. Second point, he actually said, Apratatva Atmaja. And your Atmaja, your daughter, has not promised anyone else that she's, to actually tie a knot with anyone else. So your daughter has not promised anyone else. And Adyaha, nor has she previously been married. Asau Vyavahayika Vidihi. Therefore, because she has not previously got married and your daughter has not promised to anyone else, and I am actually desiring to marry, therefore this marriage can take place according to Vaivahika Vidihi. Vaivahika Vidihi. So we say Vivaha Vidhi, right? So according to proper Vedic system, this marriage can actually take place. So Prabhupada points out that there are many important considerations by Kardama Muni before accepting Devahuti. The most important, Prabhupada says, is Devahuti had fixed her mind on marrying him. Right? And Prabhupada elaborates and says, she did not choose to have any other man. She just fixed her mind on Kardama. And Prabhupada says, the female psychology dictates that when woman offers heart to a man for the first time, very difficult to take it back. So Devahuti had heard from Narada and she had offered her heart. And that was the first time. So it's very difficult for a woman to actually take her heart after she's offered for the first time. And then Prabhupada further says, and she has not married before. That means what? She's a virgin. And we see this is all ideal Vedic standard, right? Not married before, therefore she's a virgin. And then first class marriage. That means what? Father is willing and the daughter is qualified. So everything is actually perfect in this marriage. Devoti has given her mind to him. She has not choose any other man. She's not married before. And this is a first class situation because the father himself, who is actually willing, is actually giving his qualified daughter in marriage. And Prabhupada says this first class marriage means the father actually invites a suitable groom and gives the daughter in charity, well dressed, well ornamented with dowry and other things, right? And here, okay, we'll come to that. Further, Prabhupada elaborates on different kinds of marriages. Gandharva marriage. We'll talk about that in the next shloka as Prabhupada elaborates on that. But mainly he says this first class marriage situation. The father himself has come and giving a qualified daughter away in marriage. 16.
Kama Sabuyan Naradevatesya Putra Samanyaya Vido Pratitaha Ka Evaten Tannayam Nadriyeta Swayaiva Kantya Kshipatim Ivashriyam.
Let your daughter's desire for marriage, which is recognized in Vedic scriptures, be fulfilled. Who would not accept her hand? She is so beautiful that by her bodily luster alone, she excels the beauty of her ornaments.
So we see, though Kardama Muni had performed austerity for 10,000 years, he was a renowned brahmachari. But now he is actually, because now it's a change of phase. Now he's actually entering Grahastha ashram. He's appreciating the beauty of Devahuti. And he says, Naradeva, O king, te putra, your daughter, Kama Bhuya, let your daughter's desire for marriage be fulfilled. Right? She has a desire to marry me, let that be fulfilled. Samanyaya Vidho Prateha. And this entire arrangement, it is recognized in Vedic scriptures. The daughter has a desire and the father is coming and fulfilling. So everything is perfect here, right? And then further he says, Ka eva tanayam na adrita. Who will not accept her hand? Why? Swaya eva kantya shipatim shriyam. By her body luster alone, the ornaments are actually beautified, or the beauty of the ornaments are excelled by the luster of her body. Imagine that Kardamuni is really appreciating the beauty of his to-be wife, right? And Prabhupada in the purport, he talks of like how there were like different, everything was first class in this wedding, but there are actually different classes of weddings. Actually 8 different types of weddings. If someone is interested, I can share this on the group. But the first is Brahma, right? Second is Daiva, third is Arsha, fourth is Prajapatya, fifth is Asurik, right over the Asura, and sixth is Gandharva, seventh is Rakshasa, and then eighth is Pishaka. So Prabhupada actually in the purport, he mentions these. He doesn't mention the name, but he actually talks of different kinds of weddings. And he basically makes the point that he talks about this kind of marriage, which is known as Gandharva marriage. Gandharva marriage basically means, like the example for this is, Prabhupada gives an example of how Duryodhan, King Krishna's grandson, kidnapped Duryodhan's daughter. Right? Actually, this is Shamba, right? Krishna's son. Shamba actually kidnapped Lakshmana, Duryodhan's son. This is there in the 10th canto of Bhagavatam, right? And then the whole episode where that the people in Hastinapur, the Kurus, they actually got angry because Shamba did not want to marry. Lakshmana did not want to marry Shamba. But Shamba just went and he kidnapped her from that assembly. So that kind of marriage where a prince actually goes and kidnaps a daughter of the king, that is called Gandharva. And another example of this is Rukmini, Krishna and Rukmini. So the one way that marriage is Gandharva style marriage. So Prabhupada talks of different kinds of marriages. But in this situation, everything was perfect. The first class marriage is where the father, he gives the daughter in marriage to a qualified groom. Okay. Text 17.
Yam harmya prishte kvanad angrishobham vikridatim kanduka vivalakshim vishvavasurn yapatat svadvimanad vilokya samoha vimuda chetaha.
Who's next? Okay, so let's see. Vikridatam harmya prishte. I'm basically saying once while she was playing on the roof of her palace, Kwanat Angri Shobham, right? Her beauty was heightened by what? Kwanat Angri, that the tinkling of the ornaments of her feet. Her beauty was actually heightened. Kanduka Vivla Akshim. Her eyes were moving to and fro. Why? Because she was playing with the ball and her eyes were following the ball, right? Vishwa Vasuhu Nyapatat Swat Vimana. And the great Gandharva, Vishwavasu, was traveling in the sky. He saw the beauty of Devahuti, and just seeing the beauty, he fell off his airplane. And one way, this is embarrassing that someone, a great Gandharva like Vishwavasu, just seeing the beauty of a girl playing, with the ball, and then he actually falls off his airplane. And he says, Samoha Vimuda Cheta. His mind was stupefied with infatuation, and he actually fell. Right? And this Kardamuni is saying, I have heard. Now, one may question that how did Kardamuni hear? I mean, like, who would hear such thing that Devahuti was playing on the roof and then Vishwavasu fell down? how did Kardamuni actually hear? He was performing austerities for 10,000 years, right? But anyway, so Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur makes the point that Vishwavashu, he saw the beauty of Devavati. He almost became like a corpse, like a dead body, and he actually fell off the airplane. So basically, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is making the point that the great offense in looking at her with attachment, and because he looked at her with attachment, which was actually inappropriate, he got immediate result of that offense. And what was the result? That he fell onto the earth. So why is Kardamuni making this point? That she's so beautiful. In the previous verses, he glorifies beauty. Here also he's making the point that she's so beautiful, who will not accept her? Prabhupada in the purport makes the point that how even at that time, Hamya Prishte, that means there were skyscrapers even at that time. Otherwise, how can Vishwavashu, who is flying in the sky, see someone playing on the rooftop? That means even at that time, all these skyscraper buildings were there. And then at top of that palace building, Devavati was playing, and hence Vishwavashu actually saw her. And also Prabhupada says that aristocratic girls, they do not play in public places. That's why she was playing on the rooftop. 18. Radhika?
Tam prartayantim lalana lalana mam ashevita shri charanar adrishtyam vatsa manor uchapada swasaram kona numanyeta buddha bhiyatam.
What wise man would not welcome her, the very ornament of womanhood, the beloved daughter of Swambha Manu and sister of Uttanpada? Those who have not worshipped the gracious feet of the goddess of fortune cannot even perceive her, yet she has come to her own accord to seek my hand. Hare Krishna.
So here, like how Swayambhuva Manu, he gave reasons why you should not deny this proposal. Here, Kardamuni is actually saying why he's not denying it and he's accepting, right? So tam prathayantim. So seeking my hand, she who is, and then he talks of 4 qualities. One is lalana lalamam, means that ornament of a woman. She is the ornament of all women, right? So she's so glorious in that way. Second, he actually said, Asevita Shri Charane Adrisham. Those who have not served, worshipped the feet of Lakshmi cannot even see her. That means those who do not have good fortune cannot even see. And actually, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, to this point, he mentioned that Vishwavashu, that Gandharva, he just saw the effulgence. He didn't even see her personally. He just saw the effulgence and he was so attracted by the effulgence that he fell off the airplane. Right? So those who have not worshipped the feet of Lakshmi cannot even see her. She's so glorious. Third point, Vatsa Manoho. She is actually the daughter of who? Swayambhuva Manu. I mean, imagine Swayambhuva Manu's daughter. What else do you need? Uchapada Swaswasam. And she is a sister of Uttanapada. Therefore, Kana Anumanyeta Buddha Abhiyatam. And what wise person will not welcome her? She is so qualified, so beautiful, and she has come of her own accord, fixing her mind upon me. Who will actually deny her? Hence, I will accept this proposal. Right? Okay, next verse, text 19.
Ato bhajishye samayena sadvim yavat tejo bibriyad atmano me ato dharman paramahamsya mukyan shukla proktan bahumanye vihimshran.
Hare Krishna translation. Therefore, I shall accept this chaste girl as my wife, on the condition that after she bears semen from my body, I shall accept the life of devotional service accepted by the most perfect human beings. That process was described by Lord Vishnu. It is free from envy. Hare Krishna.
So here he is actually saying, yes, I will accept, but I have a condition. One may say like, I mean, such a glorious personality, you are accepting her, but you have conditions? Yes. Kardamuni is saying, I have conditions. Ataha, therefore, bhajise swadvim. I will accept this swadhi. Swadhi means a chaste girl. I will accept this chaste girl. Samayena, but on the condition of what? Yavat tejaha bibriyat atmaname. Until she bears the semen from my body. That means unless they have a child, and then okay, then what is the condition? Ataha, thereafter, dharman parahamsya mukhyan. Right? Dharman parahamsya mukhyan. So this is a key word, that the paramahamsa dharma. Right? I shall accept the duties of the paramahamsa. That means what? Kardamuni is saying, as soon as the son is born, bye-bye. I am going to accept renounce order of life. Paramahamsa mukhyan dharman. I shall accept the duties of the best of Paramahamsa. Shukla proktan. And this process was actually described by Vishnu himself. Avi himstran. And why is it that you will leave your wife and you will take a renounce order? Because this is a process which is actually recommended by Vishnu himself. And this process is actually free of envy, without violence. That this is not because of envy I'm doing this or anything. This is actually something that Vishnu has recommended, that after Grahastha ashram, one should actually focus, enter Vanaprastha and Sannyas, and focus on spiritual activities. So hence, as soon as the son is born, bye-bye, I am done. Okay, so Prabhupada in the purport, he talks about, so brahmacharya, that stage is the development of character and spiritual qualities. So first 25 years of the life should be focused on this, development of character and spiritual qualities. Then when one actually enters a Grahastha ashram, right, he should actually enter the Grahastha ashram to beget children who can perform the duties of Krishna. So Prabhupada says there are two kinds of children. One kind of children is, as soon as the child is born, the parents train him in Krishna consciousness, and just by that training, by that education, he develops his Krishna consciousness, and then he does not have to take birth again in this material world. That is first kind. What is the second kind of child? Like the ray of Vishnu, right? When Bhakti Vinod Thakur was actually praying and he was seeing Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's movement. We have to do something to protect this movement. And he was praying for what? We need a ray of Vishnu, you know. So second kind of son is a ray of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who actually not only delivers himself, but he actually teaches the world what is the ultimate goal of life. So Prabhupada is saying, so two kinds of children. One is those who actually, so this is, the proper Grahastha ashram. One is the children are born and the parents train them how they can get out of this material world. Second class is those who are raised of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And Prabhupada says, the great householders, they pray that, oh Krishna, if you are blessing us with a child, please bless us with such a child that the child can spread Krishna consciousness all around the world. And the great householders, they pray in that way, right? Right. Okay. And then how, in 5.5.18, Srimad Bhagavatam 5.5.18, it says, Guru na syat, swajano na satyat, pita na syat, swajjanani na sasyat. Then basically this verse says, one should not become a father unless one can deliver his dependent from the path of birth and death. Right? 5.5.18. So that's the point here. And then further, Prabhupada contrasts this ideal standard with Kali Yuga. And in Kali Yuga, what happens? He says human produce children like cats and dogs. There's no discrimination. They have sex anywhere. There's no sacredness to the act of union, right? It's become so casual. And then they have like that sex and then they produce cats and dogs. There's no training for the parents. There's no training for the child. Simply sex life. That's it, right? So everything is degraded in Kali Yuga. Right. Further, Prabhupada talks about how ideal grahasthas, after fulfilling their household duties, one should take sannyas and engage in perfectional paramahamsa stage, the most highly elevated perfectional stage of life. So Srimad Bhagavatam is known as what? Paramahamsa Samhita. That Samhita which is actually meant for those who are the highest, Paramahamsas, right? So basically Prabhupada is making the point that after Grahastha ashram, after fulfilling one's duties, one should just dedicate his life for this highest perfectional state, for achieving that stage of Paramahamsa. That means that one should be completely engaged in Krishna consciousness. And yeah. And then Prabhupada also talks about how Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he prayed for a ray of Vishnu, right? And Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur, okay, Prabhupada so nicely, he says this one sentence, I would like to read it. Towards the end of the purport, He says Thakur Bhaktivinoda also wanted to beget a child who could preach the philosophy and teachings of Lord Chaitanya to the fullest extent. By his prayers to the Lord, he had his child, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj, who at the present moment is preaching the philosophy of Lord Chaitanya throughout the entire world through his bona fide disciples. The last sentence of the Prabhupada. What is Prabhupada saying? When he's writing this commentary, is Bhakti Saraswati Thakur actually there on this planet? One way is already departed, right? But he's saying that Bhakti Saraswati Thakur is actually preaching Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mission all around the world. And how is he doing it? Through his disciples and grand disciples, right? Through the entire world, through his bona fide disciples, Prabhupada said, through his disciples. So Prabhupada is saying, actually, everything, all the preaching that's happening, it is Bhakti Saraswati Thakur who's doing it. But he's engaging us disciples to actually do it, right? So we can say, similarly, we can say that right now Srila Prabhupada is preaching Krishna consciousness all around the world. And he is actually using his disciples to achieve that, right? So Prabhupada is still there. He is preaching Krishna consciousness all around the world and through his bona fide disciples. Okay. Okay. Now text number 20. Right? So one may think everything was so good in this marriage, right? Everything was perfect. Union was perfect. But this condition, right? You know, imagine someone is giving a daughter in marriage and then the boy comes and says, okay, I'll accept your daughter, but as soon as the child comes, I'm gone. I mean, will the father even give the daughter? So like, who'll take care of her, right? So, you know, it's a nice point to actually think about. That Swayambhuva Manu, did he actually was he disturbed by this condition? Right? That, oh, after the son comes, you're going to leave? Was he disturbed? No. Let's see what happens for text 20. What does Kardamuni say?
Yato bhavad vishvamidam vichitram samstasyate yatra cha vavatishtate prajapatinam patiresha mayam param pramanam bhagavan anantaha.
Hare Krishna. The highest authority for me is the unlimited supreme personality of Godhead, from whom this world creation emanates and in whom it is sustenance and resolution rest. He is the origin of all Prajapatis, the personalities meant to produce living entities in this world. Hare Krishna.
So here, you know, now Swayambhuva Manu, when hearing this condition, he may say, didn't Brahma actually tell you to create progeny? I mean, like, how is it that first one son you get and you leave? You're supposed to create progeny. So don't give up. Don't enter the Paramahamsa stage. Create progeny, right? And in response to that, what is Kardamuni actually saying? He's saying, Mayam Param Pramanam. Who is the Param Pramanam? He's saying, my supreme authority is the unlimited supreme personality of God. Yes, Brahma's order is there. But beyond that, the order of Vishnu stands the highest. Right? And why Vishnu? Because Yataha Abhavat Vishwam Vichitram. This entire world has actually manifested from him. Yatara Samstha Yate. And is going to dissolve in him. And Ava Tishtate. And is presently exists. So it is Lord Vishnu who is the creator, the maintainer, and the annihilator. And Prajapatim Patihi. He is the Lord of all the Prajapati. He is the Lord of Brahma also. So whose order is more important? Brahma or Krishna? Krishna's order is more important. For me, my Param Pramana is actually Bhagwan Sri Krishna. And it is a desire of Bhagwan Sri Krishna that one perfects one's life by entering the Paramahamsa stage. And hence, when the first son comes, that's it, I am gone. So Prabhupada actually makes this point. He says Kardamuni was ordered by Brahma to create large population, but beyond that, higher than that was the order of Lord Vishnu. Right? And so Prabhupada elaborates that, okay, Brahma, Shiva, Vishnu. But even Brahma and Shiva are actually guna avatars of Vishnu. Right? They are also coming from Vishnu. So finally, it is Vishnu who is doing creation, maintenance, and annihilation. Right? And for Kardamuni, he was convinced, and he had realized this point, that whatever Vishnu desired was his duty and nothing else. Vishnu's desire stands the highest. Right? Whatever one's obligation to one's parents, and then hence Prabhupada quotes that verse from 11.541, which actually says Devarsi bhutatma nrinam pratinam na kinkaro nayam rinicha rajan sarvatmana ye sharanam sharanyam gato mukundam parihritya kartam. So this is very famous verse. Even in Bhagavad Gita, we see Prabhupada quotes this verse in the purports. 11.5.41. He says, every one of us, we have obligation to Deva, demigods first, right? Rishihi, sages. Bhuta, the ordinary living entities. Apta, the friends and relatives. Nrinam, the ordinary men. Pitrinam, forefathers, right? We have obligation to all of this. As soon as we take birth, immediately we are indebted to all these. But one who has Sarvatmanaye Sharanam Sharanyam, who has actually taken shelter of Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, for him, there are no other obligations. All these obligations are fulfilled by his one step of taking shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Right? All right, so Prabhupada says, someone who engages in the service of Supreme Lord, even without trying to liquidate all these obligations, one becomes free from these obligations because he has taken to the highest dharma, which is devotion to the Supreme Personality of God. Right? Okay, text 21. So that's basically what Kardamuni actually says. Yes, he expresses his willingness that he's going to accept it, and then he actually puts the condition that yes, I'm going to accept, but as soon as an offspring is born, I'm going to take the Paramahamsya Mukhya, the path of Paramahamsya Mukhya, that path. And for me, the highest authority is the Supreme Personality of God. Okay. Okay, so let's take a pause quickly. Any comments up to this point? Or any questions, realizations? So this is what Kardamuni actually says. Now further, we'll see what happens after this conversation. Any comments, realizations?
Babaji, I like the point that Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, Srila Prabhupada they are preaching the philosophy of Lord Chaitanya through their bona fide disciples. Krishna.
Thank you, Mati. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yeah.
In the Subodhini, there is a link says, but your father's order was procreation, not renunciation.
Yeah.
Is that Prabhuji?
So I just explained that point, right? That the point is that Swayam Bhuva Manu, on hearing this condition of Kardam Muni, may say that, okay, you are saying that you're going to leave after the son is born, but actually Brahmaji's order to you is what? Procreate. So why one son? You should actually stay for a long time and create so many children. It is the order of Brahmaji. And in response to that, Kardamuni is saying that beyond the order of Brahmaji, whose order is more important to me? Vishnu's order. And Vishnu's order is what? One should actually take up the Parama stage and go back home, back to Godhead. That order is actually more important to me than Brahma's order. So I'll do Brahma's order, one son, but that's it. I'm done. Does that make sense, Madhu?
Yes, Prabhuji, thank you.
Okay, any other points? Anyone? Okay, let's see. So now the conversation is done. Now let's see what happens. 21.
Maitreya Uvacha Sa Ugradanvan Iyar Eva Vabhasre Ashich Chatushnim Aravindanabham Diyo Pagrinan Smita Shobitena Mukena Cheto Lulubhe Devahutyaham.
Hare Krishna. Sri Maitreya said, O great warrior Vidura, the sage Kardama said this much only and then became silent, thinking of his worshipable Lord Vishnu, who has a lotus on his navel. As he silently smiled, his face captured the mind of Devahuti, who began to meditate upon the great sage.
So here, so after he spoke, then what happened? Maitreya Rishi is saying, Ugra Dhanvan, O great warrior Vidura. Why is he saying Ugra Dhanvan for Vidura? Great warrior Vidura. Because Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur here explains and asked a similar question last time, that why this word warrior is used sometimes for Vidura. So here it is used to actually indicate that just as a warrior like you does not turn away from battle, Kardam Muni will not turn away from his dharma recommended by the Lord. Right? So that way Maitreya Rishi is actually telling Vidura how you will not turn away from battle. Kardamuni will not deviate from Dharma. Okay, so that is, oh great warrior Vidura, and he says what? Sa iyat eva ibhavase. This much he spoke, and then what did he do? Asit tushnim. He became quiet. He said this and became quiet, right? And then when he became quiet, what did he do? Arvinda Nabham Dhiya. Dhiya means he started meditating upon Arvinda Nabha, Vishnu, whose navel is adorned by a lotus, right? He started meditating upon Lord Vishnu. Smita Shobena Mukhena, his face beautified by the smile. Lulube Cheta Devyuti. This actually captivated the mind of Devahuti, right? So he stopped speaking, started meditating, and when he meditated on Vishnu, immediately he started smiling, and that smile captivated the mind of Devahuti. It's interesting how Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he actually inverts this translation, and he says, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, the mind of Kardama was actually attracted to the smiling face of Devahuti. And Prabhupada is saying what? Devahuti, other way, right? Devahuti is attracted to the smile. But, either way, you can see. So Prabhupada, with this translation, he brings a short purport, but very nice purport, right? I'll just read it quickly. It appears that Kardamuni was fully absorbed in Krishna consciousness because as soon as he became silent, he started thinking of Vishnu. That is the way of Krishna consciousness. Pure devotees are so absorbed in thought of Krishna that they have no other engagement. Although they may seem to think or act otherwise, they are always thinking of Krishna. They may seem to do other things, but they are always thinking of Krishna. The smile of such a Krishna conscious person is so attractive that simply by smiling, he wins so many admirers, disciples, and followers. Right. So this quote, actually, it's I don't know if you have seen. There's a photo of Prabhupada where it has this quote, And let me see if I can share my screen. But I was like, when I was reading this Prabhupada, I was like, oh, this is so beautiful. And I went to the net and actually was looking for smiles of Srila Prabhupada. And you can see Srila Prabhupada's smiles. Let me see, just share my screen. Yeah. Right? Just see the smile of Srila Prabhupada. And what does Purport Prabhupada say? The smile of such a Krishna conscious person is so attractive. Simply by seeing the smile, right? Simply so attractive, simply by smiling, he wins so many admirers, followers, and disciples. Just seeing the smile, people will surrender to Srila Prabhupada. That is the glory of a pure devotee of Krishna, because he's always thinking of Krishna. So smile is not like a smile of this material world. His smile is because his constant absorption of Vishnu. So it's very nice to meditate that point. Yeah. Okay. So very nice. A short purport, but so nice, right? This is a way of Krishna. Like even in Prabhupada, like how, when Gurudas Prabhu was actually driving Srila Prabhupada to Vrindavan, right? And then they were in the taxi from Delhi to Vrindavan. And Gurudas Prabhu was thinking like, oh, Prabhupada is going back to Vrindavan. He must be thinking of all like Krishna Leela and all these pastimes of Vrindavan, right? And then he was wondering like, maybe I shouldn't disturb Prabhupada. He's in his deep meditation on Braj Leela, And then he was expecting, okay, maybe Prabhupada, if he says something, I'm so eager what he'll say. And Prabhupada started speaking and he said, what? Cement. That's cement? What cement? What does cement to do with Braj Leela? And immediately Prabhupada said, cement. Where will we get cement in building of our Krishna Balaram temple? So Prabhupada is always absorbed. Whatever he's doing, he's always absorbed in Krishna's seva. Right? This is a sign of a pure devotee. While he's doing whatever he's doing, he's always thinking of Krishna. How can I serve Krishna? How can I serve Krishna? That is the only question in the mind of a devotee of Krishna. Okay, 22.
Sonu gyatva vyavasitam mahishya duhitu sputam tasmai gunagana dhyaya dado tulyam praharshitaha.
Hare Krishna.
After having unmistakably known the decision of the queen, as well as that of Devahuti, the emperor most gladly gave his daughter to the sage, whose host of virtues was equaled by hers.
Hmm. So what did Swayambhuva Manu do? He actually afterwards, so he saw everything that's happened and the condition was set, but he knew the queen and the daughter, in spite of the condition, there was no change in their mind. They were fixed that yes, Kardamuni is the best husband for Devahuti. So knowing their decision, then the king actually Mahishya and Duhitaha, his queen and daughter's decision was very clear. He actually gave away his daughter. Tasmai Dadau. He gave away his daughter. And how did he give out? Prahasita. He was extremely pleased with this relationship that, oh, my daughter is getting married to that great personality, Kardama, who was endowed with a host of virtues. Guna, Guna, Adhyaha. He has like so many qualities. Guna, Gana, Adhyaya. He is like filled with qualities. So he was very happy that this match is so wonderful. Okay, 23.
Shatarupa Maharagi Paribarhan Mahadanan Dampatyo Par Yadat Kritya Bhusha Vasa Parichadan.
Empress Empress Satrupa lovingly gave most valuable presents suitable for the occasion, such as jewelry, clothes, and household articles in dowry to the bride and bridegroom.
Mhm. So basically now he is saying that yes, okay, marriage was going to happen, it was all fixed, and then Shatarupa, she actually gave this dowry. So Paribarhan means dowry or gifts of great value. Mahadhanan means valuable presents befitting the dowry of an empress. You know, the empress is actually giving the emperor, you know, his daughter is getting married, so that has to be suitable dowry. Bhusha, ornaments, Vashaha, clothes, Parichadam, articles for household use. Dampatyo Paridyat Pritya. Gave to the bride and the groom out of affection. Pritya. You know, so Prabhupada focuses on this. He says this is a custom. That when the daughter is married, the parents actually, Prabhupada says, compulsory, should give something, but out of affection. Out of affection. Now, Prabhupada clearly makes a point that, you know, now we hear cases in India where dowry is actually kind of like a demand, where the groom may say, I demand so and so. But that's not the whole mood. Prabhupada says compulsory for the father of the bride to give in donation, but based on his capability. Prabhupada says if he financially is unstable, he can at least give a fruit and a flower. When Krishna says Patram Pusham Phalam Toyam, I am pleased with that, then why not, you know, any ordinary jiva be pleased with that? But one should give according to his financial ability, but one should give something. You know, it is a custom, right? So one should follow that. Yeah. Okay, so Prabhupada balances this purport very nicely. He says it's compulsory, but at the same time, he points out it should be done according to finance according to the position of the father, circumstance, right? Not that someone is forced into it. It is just a expression of goodwill, right? That the father is giving this. So, okay. 24.
Pratam duhitaram samrat sadrikshaya gata vyataha upaguya cha bahubhyam utkanto yonmatitashrayaha.
Hare Krishna. Thus relieved of his responsibility by handing over his daughter to a suitable man, Swayambhuva Manu, his mind agitated by feelings of separation, embraced his affectionate daughter with both his arms.
So now it says Pratam Duhitaram Samrat, the Emperor Manu. How does he, you know, gave his daughter, right? And Sadrikshaya unto a suitable person. Gatavyataha. And then what happened? Gatavyataha. So Prabhupada explains this point in the purport. He was actually relieved of his responsibility. Like even in families, this considered when the husband gives the daughter in marriage, it seems the husband, like they say, the father's duty is done, right? That means what? As soon as the child is married, that means for the parents, it is time to take the first step of detachment towards Vanaprastha. You know, this is a start. It's not like, oh, 50 years, one day transition. I mean, it doesn't happen that way. As soon as the children are married, they must just start thinking, okay, now they are married, they are going to take care of the household, they will do their duties. Now we have to focus on more of a spiritual life, how to progress in bhakti, right? So Prabhupada makes a point that there's a responsibility until children marry to suitable spouses, and after that, the responsibility is done. Right? Now, the other point in his purport is Autkantya Unmati Ashraya. His mind was agitated with feelings of separation. And then what did he do? Upagaya Bahubhyam. He embraced his daughter with 2 arms, and he started crying tears of separation from his daughter. And now the daughter is given in marriage, right? So now his affection is now is going to be transformed to separation from the daughter. Okay, 25.
Ashaknuvam stadviraham murchan bhashpa kalamuho asinchat ambavas vatseti netrodayar duhitu shikaha.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. The emperor was unable to bear the separation of his daughter. Therefore, tears poured from his eyes again and again, drenching his daughter's head as he cried, "My dear mother, my dear daughter." Hare Krishna.
Mhm. So now we see very interesting that, okay, everything is done, right? The proposal, everything is a yes, dowry is given. And now is the point where the father has to leave the daughter. And we see this whole mood of like, that attachment that Swayambhuva Manu had for his daughter, now that is turning to separation. And that separation is so intense, where here it says, Ashak Nuvan Tat Viraham. He was unable to bear the separation, that now his daughter is now under the care of Kardamuni, no longer under his care. And Munchan Bhasmam Kala Munaha, Muhu. Muhu means again and again he's shedding tears. Right? Often in, at least Indian marriages I've seen that when the father gives the daughter away, then there is this whole ceremony of like crying, one way ceremony, because that itself is the whole deal. When everyone, all the relatives from the bride's side, they cry tears, oh, now our bride is actually gone, right? So more intense is the attachment, then more intense is the separation, right? I mean, now, like, it's like a little funny. I was at one of the marriage, a few years back, one of the marriage ceremonies. And then, there is a particular time when the bride leaves that entire venue where they're getting married. And then I was just standing there, and the bride was leaving, and she was, like embracing her parents and saying like, okay, and it was so interesting. Like she turned around, she said like, okay, am I supposed to cry now? It was like kind of, that mood of like, if the attachment is strong, then there is a feeling of detachment. But in Kali Yuga, we don't see that intense emotions because the attachment is not, just in general, I'm not saying that, people don't have that kind of attachment, but, the point here is Swayambhuva Manu, he had such strong attachment that now he's actually shedding tears again and again. And then what does he say? Amba Vatsa. So it's interesting, Prabhupada actually, he says, Amba, he says, my dear mother. And he says, so the father has so much affection for a daughter that sometimes he addresses his daughter as mother. So much attachment, right? So my dear mother, my dear daughter. And then Netra Uday Duhiti Shikaha. And with so much, he was crying tears that he drenched the hair of Devahuti with tears. And this shows so much attachment. And now it is actually becoming detachment. So the whole story is like attachment, detachment, attachment, detachment. That goes back and forth. Right? Okay. Right. So Prabhupada says feeling of separation occurs because daughter or father after marriage is a property of her husband. So woman is never independent. She's a property of father, husband, or grown-up son. So initially when she's growing up, she's under the care of the father. Then when she gets married, she's under the care of her husband. And then when the husband leaves, takes sannyas, then she's under the care of the grown-up son. Right? So it was first Swayambhuva Manu, then now Kardama, and later on it will be Kapila. Right? So, okay. So 26, 27.
आमन्त्रतं मुनिवरम् अनुज्ञाता सहानुगः प्रतष्टे रथम् आरुह्य सभार्य स्वपुरं नृपः उभयोर्षिकुल्याय सरस्वत्या सुरोदसो ऋषीणाम् उपशान्तानं पश्यन् आश्रमसम्पदः.
Translation Srila Prabhupada ki jai. After asking and obtaining the great sage's permission to leave, the monarch mounted his chariot with his wife and started for his capital, followed by his retinue. Along the way, he saw the prosperity of the tranquil, seers, beautiful hermitages on both the charming banks of the Saraswati, the river so agreeable to saintly persons. Hare Krishna.
So Amantrya tam Munivaram. So now it's like, okay, the crying, everything is done. Now he takes permission from Kardamuni. He says, okay, time for me to leave. And then after getting the permission, Anugyataha, being permitted to leave, Saha Anugaha Prataste Ratham Aruya. He actually sat on his chariot along with his entire retinue, and then he proceeded Swapuram, back to his capital, right? Then Nripaha, when he was leaving, Ubhayo Samavetya, on both sides of the river Saraswati, he saw what? Rodasoho, Rishi Kulyaha, Upasantram. He saw the tranquility. So he's moving away, right? Is one way his chariot is actually moving away from this place, and he's seeing how tranquil is this place. And there is this hermitage, there's a Saraswati flowing, there's a forest. It looks so, and he was actually admiring the beauty of this place. Now, this actually tells us a lot about King Swayambhava Manu, right? I mean, Swayambhava Manu, as such, like he is the emperor of the world. So one may say that what would he be attracted to? Opulence, riches, properties, and all those things. But now his appreciation is what? Just for that tranquility. That sages, they actually appreciate this. And though Swayambhava Manu was a Kshatriya, he was an emperor, he was appreciating the beauty of that place. So, okay, next 28. Radhika?
Sorry. Tam ayantam abhipretya brahmavartad prajapatim gita samstuti vaditrai pratyudiyu praharshitaha.
Overjoyed to know of his arrival, his subjects came forth from Brahmavarta to meet their returning lord with songs, prayers, and musical instruments.
Right. So the next few verses, so now we have moved away from the scene of Kardama and Devavati. And the rest of the chapter actually is focusing more on Swayambhava Manu and his rule, like how he entered back into his kingdom, and he's going to focus on that aspect, right? Okay. So here it says, Tam Ayantam Abhipretya, knowing of his arrival in Brahmavarta Prajaha, the subjects of Brahmavarta. Brahmavarta is the head of, or the capital of the kingdom of Swayambhava Manu. Then Pratyudihu Pahasya. So all the people, they came forward overjoyed. Oh, our king, our emperor has come back. So they actually greeted the king with Vaditraha Samstuti Gita. They sang with songs, with prayers, with musical instruments. And where did we see a similar description of this? A king is coming back, and then there is all this celebration, right? And what's it?
Krishna coming back to Dwarka.
Right, the whole chapter we read in the first canto of Krishna entering into Dwarka. So similar description, Prabhupada also mentions the point that when Emperor Swayambhava Manu came back, then everyone was singing songs and there was all these prayers, musical instruments, etc. Okay, 29:30. Let's just do the English translation. Let's continue. Who's next?
The city of Baresmati, rich in all kinds of wealth, was so called because Lord Vishnu's hair dropped there from his body, and he manifested himself as Lord Boar. As he shook his body, this very hair fell and turned into blades of evergreen kusha grass and kasa, another kind of grass used for mats. by means of which the sages worshipped Lord Vishnu after defeating the demons who had interfered with the performance of their sacrifices.
So basically here, as I said, the rest of the chapter is just focused on Swayambhu Manu, and now it's going to talk about his capital and then his rule, right? So what is his capital? Bharismati Namapuri. The city was named Bharismati, and Sarva Sampat Samudvita. It had all kinds of wealth. And what was the wealth because of? What was the wealth? Was it a lot of gold, a lot of diamond? No, the real wealth that is described is Nyapatan Yatra Romani Yagyasya Angam Vidhanvitaha. Yagyasya, whenever we read about Lord Varaha, and what was Varaha's form actually said? Anyone remembers? Varaha's form was said to be the form of Varaha's form was said to be the form of, and all the sages and Brahma, they actually praise, oh Varaha, your form is the embodiment.
Vedas personified.
Not necessarily. Okay, I mean, that's there. That's not wrong. But they actually said, you are your embodiment of Yagya.
Yeah.
Yagya, right? Yagya. So here, the name for Varaha is Yagyasya Angam. His body is made of what? Yagya, right? So that Lord Varaha, when he shook his body, Varaha is a bird. And we read this, right, previously, when even we have seen in Vrindavan, when the pigs, they actually go in the water, they come out and then they shake the body, right? So Varaha in that mood, he actually, when he was wet, he came out, he shook his body, and when he was shaking, the hair of his body fell, and that hair actually fell in this place of Bharismati. And because of that hair actually falling, there was actually Kushaha and Kashaha grass, which are actually evergreen grass. And because of this presence of Kusha and Kasha grass, there was so much opulence in the kingdom, right? So it is so beautiful that Bhagavatam makes the point that the real opulence is because of connection with Vishnu. Because Bharismati has this connection with the hairs of Varaha's body, hence Bharismati is actually glorified, right? And then further, it actually makes the point, Rishaya Parabhavya Yagya Griham Yagyam Ijave. So all the sages, they actually worship Lord Vishnu with these grasses of Kushaha and Kashaha grasses. Okay, next 31. We'll just do 2 more verses and then we'll stop. A translation? Who is next after Gopinath Prabhu? Someone can read.
Who's me? I'm sorry.
Okay.
So
31 translation.
Manu spread a mat of kushas and kashas and worshipped the Lord, the personality of Godhead, by whose grace he had obtained the rule of the terrestrial globe. Hare Krishna.
How did here it says, Manu spread the seed of Kusha and Kasha, right? So he spread the mat made of Kusha and Kasha, and then he actually, that Astitra Bhagavan Manu. Why Manu is referred to as Bhagavan? He is greatly fortunate. Why? He's actually Ayajat Yagya Purusham. He's always worshipping the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Labdva means he obtained this entire Bhuvam Sthanam. He obtained this entire earth abode from by the mercy of the Lord, right? So anyway, in this section from here until the end, Swayambhu Manu, who is the father of mankind, will teach us. I think I wrote down there are almost 10 instructions we learn from this rule of Swayambhu Manu. And we are going to read, maybe next time we'll come to these lessons, that how Swayambhu Manu, from how he's ruling, he actually learns so much from his, and he's the one who's setting the ideal character for all of us. So that we'll discuss. But first point that we see here is how whatever he's received, he's accepting that this is a gift from the Lord. This is mercy of the Lord, right? That is the first point. We'll discuss further also. So Prabhupada actually in the purport makes a point, Manu is the father of mankind. Mankind should actually take lessons from Manu, right? And those are 10 lessons that we are going to discuss, right? So first lesson is he acknowledged the kingdom and the opulence as a gift from the Supreme Personality of God. So whatever we get, we actually accept it. that yes, this is by the mercy of Vishnu. Now, oftentimes the problem comes as we say, oh, this is my own karma. Because of my karma, I'm getting this opulence. But actually, who's created this entire system of karma? And even to do good karma, who's giving you the intelligence to do good karma? It's all Krishna. Krishna gave you the intelligence to do some good karma. And it is Krishna who is deciding, okay, you did this good, I will give you this result. And his Krishna is finally giving us the result. So finally, who is the one who we should consider the gift from? It's actually coming from Krishna. So anything we actually receive, we should consider this is a gift from Krishna. We acknowledge that this is a gift from Krishna, and then we engage it in Krishna's service. Because something coming from Krishna, then we use it in Krishna's service. So these are the first 2 points we learned from Swayambhu Manu's opulence. Right? Further, Prabhupada says, no one can achieve good birth, education, or beauty without the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So anything that we have, we should be grateful to the Lord for whatever we receive. And last verse we'll read, 32.
Translation. Having entered the city of Barismati in which he had previously lived, Manu entered his palace, which was filled with an atmosphere that eradicated the three miseries of material existence.
So maybe, okay, so here it's this guy, Barismati Nama, that city in Barismati. So Vibhuhu, that powerful Manu, he actually entered into this, in which previously he had lived. Samasa Tasya. Previously he was there, he came out to get his daughter married. Now he went back, he's entered. And then Pravishta Bhuvana, he entered into the palace. And then the next lesson we learned is Tapatraya Vinashanam. He's destroying the Tapatraya, which is a verse that talks of Tapatraya. Tapatrayonmulanam. 1.1.2, right? Dharma Projata Kaitavatra, Tapatraya. So Tapatraya, three kinds of miseries. Vinashanam, right? So, so point here is entering the palace that destroys the threefold miseries. Right? And Prabhupada makes a very interesting point. He says threefold miseries cannot affect the status of Krishna consciousness. Not that miseries of this material world completely vanish when one takes to Krishna consciousness. It's not that now we are chanting Hare Krishna, all the miseries will completely vanish. Yes, Krishna reduces our karma for sure. But what does he do for a Krishna conscious person? Miseries has no effect. That means what? Miseries will come. Certain nature of the material world is there will be miseries, but a Krishna conscious person is not affected by the miseries. So Bhagavatam, Bhakti Yoga is actually teaching us how to actually be empowered to deal with miseries of this material world. And when we are empowered in such a way, those miseries are no longer miseries. So therefore, hence is Tapatraya Unmulana or Tapatraya Vinashana. Okay, okay, we'll stop here. So there are a few more verses. We're almost done with this chapter. It talks of the rule of Swayambhu Manu. And then next class, we will actually read about how Kardamuni and Devahuti, they enjoy in their marriage life. And if you see a chapter's title, Devahuti Lamentation, right? How we are seeing attachment, detachment, attachment, detachment. So now we have to see attachment of Kardamuni and Devahuti, and immediately we'll see detachment. Right? So very interesting. Okay, so stop here. Thank you all so much. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Vanchakalpatarubhyasya kripa sindhubhyo patina pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Any final comments? Any points I would like to quickly mention?
Prabhuji, I really like the point that here Swayambhu Muni has come to give his beautiful daughter to Devahuti, and Kardama Muni is praising Devahuti. But when the conversation is over, he immediately is thinking about Lord Vishnu, and he is smiling because he is remembering the lotus-like navel of Bhagwan.
So Kardamuni, right? Kardamuni.
Yeah, Kardamuni.
Kardamuni, he speaks and he keeps quiet. And then he immediately, right? And then smile in that purport, Prabhupada says, the smile of Krishna conscious person is so attractive that just by his smile, he attracts so many disciples, followers. Nice, thank you. Any other points? Okay. So thank you so much. We'll end here. Thank you for your association. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. This is like our last few days before Bhadra Purnima, which is on Tuesday. So Tuesday, everyone, please like in Bhadra Purnima, you have a set of Bhagavatam. You can actually, do a special Aarti of Bhagavatam. That way you can, serve Bhagavatam, maybe spend more time reading Bhagavatam on Bhadra Purnima. And also, this is our last push, encouraging everyone here. Please do something. Reach out to your friends, relatives, or sponsor one set of Bhagavatam. Everyone, at least one set. Everyone should try to distribute. By distributing Bhagavatam, we get the mercy of Bhagavatam, and by that mercy, we can actually understand Bhagavatam. We can relish Bhagavatam. Right? Thank you so much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Krishna Prabhuji, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much,
For joining.
Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. Jai Shri Prabhupada.
Jai Shri.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji, for giving the nectar of Srimad Bhagavatam. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.